I would like to go through a few instructions to help you understand the venue and to ease your day. There are 3 help desks, one outside the pandal, one near Globe Circle, and one near the entrance of the campus. Participants can contact the help desk in case of any difficulty. There are toilets in all the buildings around the pandal. In the building to your left, gents and ladies' toilets are available on alternate floors. Few mobile toilets are also available on your right. However, you are requested to use the toilets in the building around the pandal as far as possible. Enough number of dustbins are kept in and around the pandal to ensure cleanliness. Feedback forms will be provided to you in the pandal on 12th of January 2018. After filling the forms, you are requested to put them in the drop box. Drop box is kept at certificate distribution point, that is the registration point where you were issued your identity cards. Registers for attendance are kept at all help desk points. Participants are required to sign the register once every day at any one of the desks. For security reasons, do not throw polythene bags filled with garbage in the dustbins. You can empty or throw the garbage in the bins directly and then crush the polythene bags before throwing in the bin. All the volunteers here are for your assistance. Please cooperate with them. In view of the security requirements, please wear your I-card while at campus and cooperate with the security volunteers and staff if they want to check your bags. In case of any emergency, kindly do not panic. We have our disaster management system and firefighting system in place. Disaster management and security volunteers will assist you to go out quickly and safely. There is a limited vehicle parking. Security staff will guide to appropriate parking places. Thank you. We are now receiving our guest for this session. Welcome back to the first session of the Second National Teachers Congress. This session is about globalization of Indian higher education, drawing the roadmap. We are truly honored to have eminent personalities at the Second National Teachers Congress who have significant contribution in the field of education and research and who would enlighten us with their knowledge and wisdom today.
All the dignitaries for this particular session, which is the globalization of Indian higher education, are making their way for ringing the bell of education. This ringing symbolizes that the message from this platform reaches all corners of the world, and we take this message that India and Indian education is about to transform and going to reach a completely new horizon of globalization of Indian higher education. Thank you, dignitaries. I request you to kindly accept the chairs on dais.
I would like to request Sri Rahul Karat to begin the session and to felicitate our honorable guests. Dr. Raghunath K. Shevgaonkar. Dr. Raghunath K. Shevgaonkar, Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Bombay, former Director, IIT Delhi, and former Vice Chancellor, University of Pune. Can we have a big round of applause? Dr. Raghunath K. Shevgaonkar. Dr. Daryl Butt. Dr. Daryl Butt, Dean, College of Mines and Earth Sciences, the University of Utah, USA. Please, can we have a big round of applause? Professor Dr. Makarand Hastak. Professor Dr. Makarand Hastak, Head Construction Engineering, Management and Civil Engineering, Purdue University, USA. Shri Ryan Pereira. Shri Ryan Pereira, Regional Head, United States, India Educational Foundation, USIEF, Mumbai. Dr. Jay Gore. We are now going to have a curtain raiser video clip about this session. May I request our technical team to please show the video.
Globalization of higher education. By 2030, India will be among the youngest nations in the world, with nearly 140 million people in the college-going age group. 1 in every 4 graduates in the world will be a product of Indian higher education system. Needless to say, it calls for a new vision and a new aspiration. By 2030, India should become a pioneer in higher education, which will be one of the best in the world by delivering social, economic, and intellectual value par excellence. However, the existing challenges of access, equity, and quality will be greatly exacerbated unless we significantly transform our higher education model. As India becomes a leading driver of globalization in 21st century, its higher education system should forge partnerships with developed and developing countries. This session explores about transformative roadmap on how to become an educational powerhouse like the United States, Australia, and European countries.
Thank you very much. And as this session is set for the discussion of globalization of Indian higher education, it is necessary that we understand the views of Indians, those who are currently serving into the foreign lands, and to represent them, we have Dr. Jay Gore, Riley University Chair, Professor of Engineering, Purdue University, United States of America, with us. I would request Shri Rahul Karat to felicitate and welcome Dr. Jay Gore. It's really important for us to understand the views of our fellow Indians, those who are in the foreign nations, that how exactly we can make our way to the globalization of Indian higher education. I would also request, sir, as we have Professor Abhijit Date from RMIT, Australia, who is a Professor of Engineering Aerospace with us. Dr. Khandekar is felicitating Professor Abhijit Gore. A big round of applause for Professor Abhijit Date. We also have with us Dr. Joost Bunders, the Director and Professor of Biology and Society, HOD, Department of Biology and Society, University of Amsterdam with us. She has been our colleague for National Teachers Congress since its beginning. A big round of applause for Dr. Joost Bunders. Thank you very much.
I would now like to request Dr. Sheikh Aftab Anwar, Principal, Pune College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Pune, to say a few words.
Dignitaries on the dais, all my teacher friends, it is indeed a pleasure for me to give you some insight about globalization of higher education. As we are all Indian teachers, we have seen India as a rural India and as a urban India. Rural and urban India divide has made the students to divide themselves. When we talk about globalization, liberalization and privatization, it has also hampered the education system in India. We have schools in India, they are run by corporations, run by individuals, by trust. We have universities in India, state universities, central universities, and now private universities. As a teacher, my role is very important, and all my friends, those who are sitting here, the role is very important here. Whether I have seen the whole world or not, whether the whole world is very near to me or not, I must know all this thing. If the world is near to me, what I am doing, what I am suggesting to my students, what I am giving to my students, daily the same thing, what is there in the textbook or what is there in the whole world. Friends, ये कहा जाता था पहले, एक मैंने गाना सुना था, जिसका कोई नहीं होता, जिसका कोई नहीं उसका खुदा होता है, लेकिन आज का जमाना जिसका कोई नहीं उसका गूगल होता है। जब हम लोग ग्लोबलाइजेशन की बात करते हैं तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन में गूगल का बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंस है। मैं ये कहूँगा कि आज हमारे जो विद्यार्थीगण हैं, ये विद्यार्थियों को पूरी दुनिया हमको दिखानी है। हमारा जो एशिया, ये पूरे दुनिया में 7 कॉन्टिनेंट है और हम लोग एशियन कॉन्टिनेंट में, एशियन कॉन्टिनेंट दुनिया की 60% यानी 60% पूरी दुनिया की जो ज़मीन है ये एशियन कॉन्टिनेंट में, और एशियन कॉन्टिनेंट में 50 से 60 देश आते हैं। क्या हमने कभी हमारे विद्यार्थियों को ये बताया कि बांग्लादेश कहाँ है, बांग्लादेश में कितने यूनिवर्सिटीज़ है, बांग्लादेश में कितने कॉलेजेस है? हमारे पास नेपाल है, नेपाल में जाने के लिए हमको कोई पासपोर्ट नहीं लगता है। कभी हमने बच्चों को बोला है कि हम लोग आपको पासपोर्ट लेकर बैंकॉक ले जाएंगे, इथियोपिया ले जाएंगे या फिर तिब्बत ले जाएंगे? इतने सारे देशों में हमारा विद्यार्थी जाना चाहिए। प्यारे मित्रों, मैं यही कहने के लिए आज आया हूँ कि मैंने दुनिया को जब नज़दीक से देखा है तो मुझे लगता है हमारा हर शिक्षक ये जिम्मेदार नागरिक बनाने के लिए सक्षम होना चाहिए। आज हम लोग जब ग्लोबलाइजेशन की बात करते हैं तो हम लोग वर्ल्ड सिटीजनरी की बात करेंगे। वर्ल्ड सिटीजनरी, आज हम लोग हमारे देश का सिर्फ हमको सोचना नहीं चाहिए, हमारा जो विद्यार्थी होगा वो वर्ल्ड सिटीजन माना जाएगा। वो और उस विद्यार्थी को अगर वो रूरल एरिया से आता है, ग्रामीण से आता है, if he is coming from rural area also, we must suggest him lot of things। हम लोगों ने उसको बताना चाहिए कि दुनिया कितनी छोटी हो चुकी है, हमारे कितने अध्यापकगण, how many of our teachers have gone to foreign countries, and if they have visited foreign countries, how many people have visited colleges, schools, and the universities in foreign countries. I will suggest you that if you have time, whenever you go to a foreign country, write to those people before going there. You can email to the head of HOD, you can email to the vice chancellors, and you can get insight from them, and you can visit those countries and visit those institutions, and you can also suggest your student to visit those universities there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sheikh Aftab Anwar. I would like to request Shri Rahul Karat to felicitate Dr. Sheikh Aftab Anwar. I would now like to request Dr. Jai Gore, Global Convener of NTC, Riley University, Chair Professor of Engineering, Purdue University, USA, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and my fellow teachers across India and across the globe. As the session title indicates, we are celebrating the globalization of higher education. Not only the globalization of higher education, but the globalization of Indian higher education is our dream. Indian nation has, with ancient universities, given a lot of knowledge to the world. Knowledge would originate here, not just knowledge of the brain, but knowledge of emotion, knowledge of love, knowledge of heart, as the Honorable Dalai Lama spoke to us today. In the interim centuries, as technological revolution occurred in Europe and in America, the Indian nation, many students here, many students from the IITs, from the IISCs, from the College of Engineering, Pune, and other colleges chose to go to US universities, to European universities, and acquire technological knowledge. Dalai Lama repeatedly pointed out the knowledge of the brain and repeatedly pointed to his heart, but their heart remained with India. And I can assure you that many of my colleagues who have reached great heights in the United States, many university presidents, 10 of them I have personally spoken to. They have great interest in this National Teachers Conference, and I have mentioned to our great organizer, Rahul Ji Karad, that they are very seriously considering, they were considering joining this conference, but the semesters and the classes and the students in the United States are relatively demanding, and they had to cancel, many of them had to cancel their trips. Amongst them is Pradeep Khosla, Chancellor of University of California, San Diego. Amongst them is Pune's own son, Maharashtra's own son, Ashok Gadgil, who is at the University of California in Berkeley. Amongst them is Subra Suresh, who was president of Carnegie Mellon University. Amongst them is my former provost, Deba Datta, who is now Chancellor of Rutgers University in New Jersey. There is a long list of individuals who are with us today, really saying that this is a great idea that teachers, not just nationally but globally, should be connected internationally, should be connected to give great education to our students. It's all about our students, and a very large bulge of population in India and around the world demands that the education should be good, should empower them for the workforce, and once, as one of our dignitary speakers mentioned, once the stomach is taken care of, the heart and the mind demand more. And when the heart and the mind demand more, they start looking around the world. Let me mention a little bit about the American education system. I have been visiting classrooms at MIT World Peace University every day and having interaction with the students. I will tell you that the students are very, very bright. They are very hungry for knowledge. They are hungry for interaction with the teacher. They have, as previous speaker mentioned, Google Mata to look for information. What the teacher needs to deliver is knowledge. No one is looking for information, so if you read from the book, read from the syllabus, you will put them to sleep and you will have an attendance problem. I'm very happy to report that the attendance problem can be addressed by making your lectures very, very interactive. Another thing I want to mention about the US education system is it accepts students from all around the world and therefore creates a global platform automatically for the teachers to learn from many, many different cultures. In my own group, I have students from Korea, China, Japan, Uzbekistan, South America, from Brazil, from Mexico. If you look at another one of those revolutions in information transfer around the world, if you look at Facebook page, you would see how many different countries, not just my students, but all of the students of teachers of Indian origin who are 10,000, we are definitely going to try to bring them here by interacting with them. Not just United States, which I addressed, but Australia, Korea, China, Japan have also developed good higher education systems that are competing with the United States. Competition is good, cooperation is even better. So when we form a community of teachers, we are going to invite them to interact so that the world can understand each other better, so that different cultures can interact, different cultures can take care of human health better, human mind better, human happiness better, because as His Honor and Dalai Lama ji said, we cannot send anyone we don't like to Mars, and therefore what we can do is to educate them enough so that we begin to like them. One more thing I would like to mention before introducing the fact that I have a colleague from Purdue University, Professor Makran Hastak, who is the head of construction management and engineering. We have colleagues from BYU, Brigham Young University, here from the sciences. In the state of Utah, there are great public universities, such as University of Utah. There are great private universities that also contribute to higher education. The thing I want to mention is that President Abraham Lincoln not only is famous for uniting Americans, South and North, he should be given more credit for establishing what is called the land-grant university systems, where not just MITs, Harvard, Stanfords of United States are contributing to the education of people, who is contributing are state schools such as University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, University of Michigan, Purdue University, Georgia Tech, and others. I'm always at the risk of not mentioning a university that happens to be great, but even in the state of Indiana, we in athletics compete with Indiana University, but Indiana University happens to be a university where one of the professors was is the brother of Dalai Lama ji himself, who spoke here on this dais. Somehow there is a magic that attracts academicians because they can do research, they can engage in free thought. One of our IIT dignitaries mentioned that Indian Institute of Technology in this country and Indian Institute of Sciences are offering freedom to teachers to engage in that. Rahul Jikarad, our Executive Vice President, has said that this is what would happen at MIT WPU. The teachers will be well paid, they will develop great lectures, they will have freedom of thought, they will do research, they will have PhD students, and very, very soon this institution, with your help, with the help of teachers from all around India here, if we start following the processes that lead to better higher education, will certainly be competing with global universities. Let me mention that this afternoon there are going to be academicians sharing their own thoughts about how we can achieve globalization of higher education of the highest quality. My hope to the teachers in this room is that please take ideas such as these back to your own institutions. Please form a network. Please discuss different things. Not one idea is good when it comes to higher education. We need many, many, many good ideas because each one of the learner, each one of the student is different. And that's where student-centric education, looking that student in the eye and saying what that student aspires to be and how we can deliver value to their parents is what matters. Thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to share some comments with you. And thank you to Rahul Jikarad for giving me the opportunity to assemble a panel of global teachers here now. Please come back to the next Teachers Congress. We will have hopefully 1,000 global teachers in this podium, in this pandemonium, thinking about global education. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jai Gore. That was Dr. Jai Gore, Riley University Chair, Professor of Engineering, Purdue University. And before he began his speech, he was introduced as the global convener of National Teachers Congress. Well, he humbly did not mention in his speech, but let me share with you that Dr. Jai Gore carries the responsibility on his shoulders to bring all the teachers, those who are there outside our country but belong to motherland, to bringing all them together and create a pathway for globalization of Indian higher education system. Thank you, Dr. Jai Gore. Thank you very much. Well, since morning, we have seen the serious side of academics. His Holiness Dalai Lama was also here. He also delivered a wonderful speech, but there is always a other side of the coin. There is always a personality hidden inside you that is more lighter, that is more happier, probably. I would like to share with you one small video that shows you a lighter side of His Holiness Dalai Lama. I'll not talk much more about it. I would request my technical team to show us that particular clip.
It just happens. You see, he's not listening.
I will not listen.
Behave like a holy man.
How are you doing, everyone? Are we ready?
People innately are good, you know.
All have same sort of desire to have happy life, happy day, happy month.
When we kept quiet, our hearts discovered that they were kindred.
Our religion is something unique and something very special.
Share the joy. Are you in?
What a wonderful scene. I think this is what Dr. Jay Gore was referring to, that we should create such bonds with the teachers in our fraternity, and probably we'll be able to create wonders. Thank you very much for that video. Now it's time when I invite our very, very special person on the stage who has been with us since our first National Teachers Congress, Dr. Joost Bunders, who's the Director, Professor of Biology and Society, HOD, Department of Biology and Society from University of Amsterdam, VU University. Please put your hands together and welcome Dr. Joost Bunders.
Very good. Okay. Namaskar. Good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to be here with you. I'm from the Free University from Amsterdam, and I'm asked to talk about the European-Indian cooperation. And that is something which is so close to my heart, so I really am very happy to do that and discuss with you. Like most of you, I have different roles and perspectives on higher education. I'm a teacher, I'm a PhD guide, which also means teacher. I'm a mother for children who have to choose their universities, the children. And I'm also director of the Athena Institute. And in that position, I have developed and executed many cooperations within Europe, with European partners, but also all over the world, and especially with India. And I feel that the most intriguing question is, what are the similarities and differences between the two different educational systems in Europe and in India? Similarities we know more or less because we have this globalization and formalities. And we in our university have one more similarity with you, and that's a very special one, and that's perhaps also why I feel so much at home with you, because we have our leader, our head of all the research and all the education. We call that position Rector Magnificent. He is Dr. Vino Subramaniam. So you understand that at the Free University, we are led by an Indian. But for us, he also feels very much Dutch. So we are very, very happy with him. But that is a similarity about leadership. But what are the differences? And I think there are huge differences. And that is an interesting thing, that there are differences. Because why would you cooperate with people who are the same? Then what have you to exchange? So what I would like to say, to talk about a bit, is about our European education system and what I've understood from the Indian education system. What are the strengths? And then, is it possible that we cooperate on the basis of the strengths, and that perhaps by cooperating, both our weaknesses in Europe and you in India perhaps are reduced because we enhance our strengths? So let me start with Europe. In Europe, the last 40 years, we had a transition. I had a transition from education in monodisciplinary fields towards interdisciplinary fields. I am from the older generation. I studied physics and chemics, and these were two completely different fields. What was the reason for this complete transformation which happened in our system? The idea was that master students and PhD students and bachelor students should be able, after their degree, to work in society, to have jobs, or to stay also in the university, but being able to deal with problems, to deal with complex problems. And most complex problems, whether it's in the business world, whether it's in other worlds, they cannot be solved by a monodisciplinary approach, by only chemistry, for example. So that was the reason that the feeling was that we should have interdisciplinary teaching programs which have different fields together, which would allow us to be more, to develop the students in a better way and to have them better job satisfaction and better job effectiveness. But of course you understand that only with interdisciplinarity, it's still academic, different academic fields. So how can you solve problems in your field outside the university if you only have academic knowledge? So obviously we felt in Europe what is needed is a sort of link, a sort of integration with the field, with the future job position, with what's happening in society, with civic society. And if you look at how our education is structured, you can see that we have 5 sort of integration mechanisms. I will be very brief, but the first is very essential for us in Europe, that we in all our courses have a balance and an interaction between theory on the one hand and practice on the other. So we lecture, but the student has assignments and need to be able to apply the theory or to have a problem and to find out whether or not a theory is helpful or not helpful for dealing with the problem. So this link between theory and practice is extremely important part in our education. Then the second part is related to the aim. The aim of the teaching is to make experts in their field, but also to solve, as I said, problems in society. So how to make sure that students can solve complex problems in society in the different fields. And then, therefore, the idea was that we should cooperate closely, and we do that already now for decades, closely with the most important partners in society. So with the business world, the government, the NGOs, the civic society, all of them work hard, have difficulties, have needs, have knowledge needs, which they like to connect with the universities and to find out if students can deal with their problems, whether they can analyze it in depth and when they can make suggestions for solutions. So this is the second integration mechanism, that we have close connections with these groups and that we often sit with them and find out what are their needs. And we also have tools and research tools for it to do needs assessments. The third integration mechanism, and perhaps that is a bit European, is that we are very careful that there is not a new type of silo which starts if the university is working with the business world separate and with the, for example, civic society or the community in another program. Then still we can have different silos which are developing knowledge but which are not integrated. And from the perspective of sustainability, of having a society in which there is space for everybody and well-being, possibility and prosperity for everybody, but also environmental issues and sustainability for the businesses themselves. So from that sustainability perspective, it is felt in Europe that the business and the NGOs and the civic society and the government should sit together to formulate also these questions. So we make with them research agenda or teaching agendas, and they work together so that we don't stimulate differentiation between the groups and perhaps also include or introduce more inequality, because that's in Europe an important issue that we feel that the countries that we are happier, the more access everybody has to resources and to jobs. So that means that, in fact, focus on business aspects for the poorer segments of society and innovation for them is as impossible as working with the business and make them and help them and assist them to find out what are the social aspects, what are the environmental aspects, so that together we hope we work towards a more sustainable development. And this reflects also in the research institutes. Okay. And then our last integration mechanism is making sure that it is also needed that students learn from each other. How can you learn from society if you don't learn together? So we have a lot of work assignments, work group assignments in which they work in groups. And how is to show you how looks a week in our institute? It's not more, in our university, it's not more than 10 hours of lecturing per week. The rest is individual assignment and groups assignment. So you see here the integration mechanisms. Now I come to India, and in India, well, we can see that in science and nature, the Indians are coming up more and more. So there is a very strong research part there, which is backed up, obviously, with also teaching programs. But there is, of course, much more to say about the strengths of India. And that's the numbers, the huge numbers, and the diversity of universities. But there is also the culture. And the culture, I think, is extremely important. And the culture is, for example, to say that you love your teacher is impossible in our countries. We would never say that. We also don't have, like the Indians, a deep feeling that very deep everybody is one. I have not met any Indian who not feels like that. In my country, never people talk about it. My university is a Christian university, and there we also don't think that. And also the way of happiness, how to reach happiness through open heart, as the Dalai Lama said, by knowledge, which we are all in university addicted to understand something. If our students understand something, there is a sort of space which is coming and sort of happiness around this. This is the second path, and the selflessness. So these ideas of how you become happy are very clear in India, perhaps not always followed, but these are lacking with us. We don't have this connection with these deeper values. But there is also an integration mechanism in India, and that is, for example, the linkage between the modern sciences and the traditional sciences. So that link and the link with the deeper values, I think, is very specific for the Indian educational system. And it's an enormous strength because you see you have now two different systems. One who is more integrating towards society and to make scientific tools and processes and integrate with research. So we have developed a whole toolkit of possibilities in order to assist our students teaching. But in India, there is this other possibility. There is this option for different integration. Well, if you have them together, and tonight you will be hopefully all in the Connect sessions, and there we will use some of our teaching methodologies, and we hope that you come and that you, as your teachers, sit down together, discuss what you feel are the strengths and the challenges in your own institution, and what sort of solutions can you do, can you find together. And I'm sure that your results and your thinking is as important as what is here from the front, and that it will seriously help the framing of policies and hopefully also the policies in your own situation, in your own institution. I think this beautiful merging of different systems, it gives such a possibility of doing new things and such more European projects. I cannot elaborate on them, but there are many, many options to make sure that you in your own institutions participate in them and that we can move together. I think the future of India, and specifically the students and your own staff development, is in your hand, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jos Wanders. I would now like to request.
Well, there is a special mention that needs to be made for Dr. Jos Wanders. Dr. Jos Wanders is the person who actually created and made all it possible, and that is the Teacher to Teacher Connect program. I think we should all give her a big round of applause for that. The entire concept of Teacher to Teacher Connect was created and executed very, very well by Dr. Jos Wanders. She was the torchbearer of that particular activity, and which created a completely new way of thought among all the teachers, all the spirited, motivated teacher of that particular thought. They all came together, and which we are going to do today also. But all credit goes to of that particular activity to Dr. Jos Wanders. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much for that particular thought. Thank you.
I would now like to request Mr. Sushil Nirbhavne to say a few words. Mr. Sushil Nirbhavne, Assistant Professor in Management Studies, SPPU.
Dignitaries on the dais and my teacher friends, I am Sushil Nirbhavne, Management Faculty. Thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of such august gathering. My topic is Globalization of Higher Education, Indo-US Vision 2030. While in historic context, India has a legacy of education hubs like Nalanda and Takshashila. In present context, US boasts of the world's best universities, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Princeton, MIT, and many such. Most of the top universities in the world by any ranking are US universities. US higher education system is considered as quintessence of quality education. And needless to say that they have something unique to offer that makes them so good. I believe there are 5 such strengths. Number 1, independent and highly decentralized education system. Federal government's interference is minimal. Institutes are free to decide their curriculum and what's best for the students. Number 2, diversity and flexibility. US offers over 4,000 colleges and universities with myriads of learning options and flexibility to undertake interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary courses. Number 3, international students. US is a melting pot of different cultures. They maintain this cultural diversity in their campuses as well. US attracts students from across the globe with diverse racial and socio-cultural backgrounds. And they bring in their different perspectives and experiences and enrich peer-to-peer learning. Number 4, very important, is funds in terms of endowments. Interestingly, world's top universities are also world's richest universities. If we see, Harvard has endowments of close to 36 billion US dollars. Yale has 26 billion US dollars, and Princeton has close to 23 billion US dollars. Quality education is a costly affair. And most of the quality comes from research. And research needs funds, let's face it. So if we look at it, this endowment fund is a fund donated by universities, alumni, and corporate. If we talk about India, no Indian university stands in world's 100 list, top 100 list. One biggest reason is paucity of funds. Endowment culture that is not yet sunk in India can show the way. And last point, but not the least, is American ethos. Just emulating US pedagogy and curriculum wouldn't help, right? US education system and their startup ecosystem that has changed the landscape of many businesses have thrived on a background of their cultural ethos that can be summarized in 3 words: scientific temper, liberalism, and individualism. US has become such a great nation and civilization because of these 3 principles. If we really want to build world-class education system in India, we'll have to adopt this ethos and spirit wholeheartedly. We'll have to develop scientific temper and a liberal society that values individual freedom. If we can do that, that would be a foundation for Indo-US Vision 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sushil Nirbhavne. I would like to request Sri Rahulji Karat to felicitate Mr. Sushil Nirbhavne. We are now going to have a film on Sri Ryan Pereira. May I request my technical team to please start the video.
Sri Ryan Pereira is a regional officer at United States India Educational Foundation since 2014. He started his journey with the USIEF as a Senior Education USA Advisor in 2011. He has completed his BSA in Zoology and Biochemistry from St. Xavier's College in 1991, followed by MSc in Biochemistry in 1993 from University of Mumbai before going to the US. He earned a doctorate in biochemistry at the Ohio State University and trained in the Department of Molecular Medicine at Cornell University as a postdoctoral fellow and as a research associate. He returned to India and taught courses in molecular biology and biotechnology at St. Xavier's College before joining United States India Educational Foundation. He is an individual with strong ethics and great intellectual ability. He is dedicated to the prosperity of the education sector. We are honored to welcome Sri Ryan Pereira.
Our guest of honor, Sri Ryan Pereira, Regional Head, United States India Educational Foundation, USIEF, Mumbai.
Good afternoon. I want to take this opportunity to thank the distinguished people on the dais and all the teachers here for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all about this particular topic, globalization of the higher education system. As was evident in the presentation, I am an outcome of this globalization effort, having studied my undergraduate studies in India and going abroad for my higher education. When we talk about globalization, everybody likes to use this word, globalization of higher education. I would ask you all to think, why globalization? What does it involve? Is it simply taking aspects from the US or Europe or Australia and bringing them to India? What do we hope to gain out of this globalization? Dr. Gore talked a little bit about the US education system, and my esteemed colleague from Amsterdam talked a little bit about the European aspects of education. What was common amongst both the speakers was that globalization is valuable in higher education. And this value to higher education is very, very apparent to the Indian government, and it is also very, very important to the US government. One way to understand each other is to invite faculty and students from other countries to come to India in your colleges, or, as the first speaker mentioned, is when you're visiting foreign countries, go and see how they operate and learn from them. I'm privileged to represent the United States India Educational Foundation and to talk to you all about some opportunities that we have to promote this mutual understanding between the people of India and the US, in terms of exchanges of faculty and students. So the United States India Educational Foundation was formed 68 years ago by the two governments to promote mutual understanding. And we do that in multiple ways. We are the Fulbright Commission in India, and I'll talk to you all a little bit about some of the opportunities that we have for you all to invite scholars from the US and students from the US to your colleges, and also to have faculty go to the US, learn, and then come back and continue your job in India. So this Fulbright Fellowship was started by the Senator J.W. Fulbright in 1946, who understood that people-to-people exchange is very important if countries are to coexist. And in India, we've been offering the Fulbright Fellowship since 1950, and since our inception, we've offered 19,000 fellowships, both bringing US scholars to India and sending Indian nationals to the US. So how do you go about, and what does this fellowship involve? It is a lengthy process, the application process. It takes more than 1 year, and I'm happy to be here at this function, at this conference, is because in early February, we'll be making the announcement for the next cycle of fellowships. So we'll be asking for applications from Indian nationals to apply for these fellowships in early February. There are 4 main categories that we have. We have the Fulbright Fellowships for master's students. These are the 2-year fellowships where we provide support for up to $80,000, where a student who's done the equivalent of a US education, that's 4 years of undergraduate studies, or a 3-year education from India, plus a master's degree from India, can go for a second master's in the US. Okay? There are about 8 fields that are going to be supported. The criteria we have for the master's students is that they have to have 3 years work experience to qualify. The second category that we have is for doctoral students. These are students who have registered for PhD in an Indian institute. They have to have been registered for 1 year. Then they can go abroad, complete some aspect of their PhD research at a US university. It's for 8 months. And then they can return to India and complete their PhD from India. That deadline for application will be June 15th of 2018. The third category are for those faculty members or students who have just completed their PhD within the last 4 years. So this is the postdoctoral fellowships. And here you can go for anywhere between 8 months to 24 months. So you can go up to 2 years to the US, do some advanced studies, and then come back and contribute to India. And finally, for those faculty members who have obtained their PhD for more than 5 years or have significant teaching or research experience, we have a category called Academic and Professional Excellence Awards. And with this award, you can go for anywhere between 4 months to 9 months, teach or do some research at a US university, and then come back and resume your position in India. And since for faculty, it's sometimes hard to take a full 9 months of leave from your institute, we also give you the opportunity to break up that award into 2 parts. You can go for 1 to 3 months in the first year and go for another 1 to 3 months in the second year. So you can go anywhere from 4 months to 6 months over 2 years. Okay. So this is a little pamphlet we've kept at the registration desk about the Fulbright Fellowships. And we always get this question. I have been teaching a long time. Now I'm in administration. I want to help my institute develop and globalize. How can I go and get some experience in the US and come back? I can't go for that long. We have a very special program, and that is the International Educators Administrators Award. With this award, the deadline for this is February 15th next month. Here, you will go in October for 2 weeks to the US, visit multiple US universities, learn from them, and bring back the best practices to your own institute. And you can develop a lot of understandings, and it'll give you some contacts where you can build on in the future. So that's for Indian nationals who can go abroad. How can you bring US students and researchers to your institutes? Just like we have the fellowships for Indian nationals, there are Fulbright Fellowships where US students and researchers can come to India. The students can come anywhere. Usually they come for 9 months. The faculty can come for 4 months or up to 1 year. And we also have a very special program called the Fulbright Specialist Award, where if you want to start teaching a new subject or a very specialized area, like I want to introduce cybersecurity in my college, can we get an expert from the US to come help us with that? We have what is called the Fulbright Specialist Award, where we could try and find a specialist who can come and teach that. And this Fulbright specialist will be with you anywhere between 2 weeks to 6 weeks. There are one other aspect that I would like to talk about is very often, and some of my colleagues on the dais will concur, is very often people imagine that you're all teachers. We think that we need to be at the high-level institutes to make a difference. I can tell you from my experience, and having interacted with numerous other very, very successful scientists in my time in the US, is that you can make a difference no matter where you are, as long as you care for your students and take your job seriously. That's all that really matters. And we have very, very distinguished people from Purdue University and the University of Utah who are making very active differences. So we want you all to take this opportunity to learn about the US culture and bring back the best practices, and we'd encourage you all to please apply for these Fulbright Fellowships. They are funded jointly by the Indian and the US governments. Okay? India is one of the very few countries which matches the US in terms of support for the Fulbright Fellowships. So both governments value this interaction between the two countries. So please apply, and if you have any questions, you can go to our website. It's usief.org.in. So thank you for your attention, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Sri Ryan Pareraji, the Regional Head of United States India Education Foundation, USIEF. Thank you very much for your presence here today. And I'm sure that his speech has a great value addition to our knowledge, and definitely regarding Fulbright scholarships. Thank you very much for your insight, Sri Ryan Pareraji. Well, as you must have noticed by now, that this particular session, which talks about globalization of Indian higher education, is probably segmented, or it has basically 3 important components or aspects. That is Indo-European Vision 2030, Indo-USA Vision 2030, and Indo-Australia Vision 2030. And we have the representation of Europe, we have the representation of US, as well as Australia. It's really a pleasure to have the representation from all these sections of the globe, so that basically we can have a common minimum thought that will lead us to the globalization of Indian higher education. I would like to take your attention to a different aspect now. Communication is really important in today's world. We must know that what exactly is going around in which part of the globe. Now, what Sri Ryan Pareraji said just now, of course, many of us would have heard of it, many of us would be knowing it. But today, because of his thoughts that he shared with us today, we have a definite path with which we can actually reach that particular goal. Similarly, as we all agree that the students is the core of any university. Students are the heartthrob, and they actually drive the university and university's culture. And I'm very, very happy to share with you that the students of MIT World Peace University are set to begin a completely new journey in terms of launching MIT WPU Times, a fortnightly, I would say, magazine kind of stuff, the campus newspaper of MIT World Peace University. And I'm happy to share that today all the dignitaries on the dais would be inaugurating the inaugural issue of MIT WPU Times. I would request all the dignitaries to join this celebration and inaugurate formally the MIT WPU Times. The team of MIT WPU Times is here with us. I would request the student team to kindly go forward. Heartiest congratulations, students. A big round of applause for all the students of MIT World Peace University Times. An entirely new beginning. I wish all the very best to all the students, those who are taking this particular activity ahead. Thank you very much, and all the very best to the team of MIT WPU Times. Thank you, all the dignitaries. And as I was sharing with you that this particular session has three important aspects, that is of Indian relationships with European countries, United States, and Australia. We have the representation of Australia in terms of Dr. Abhijit Date, who's a senior professor at School of Engineering, RMIT University, Melbourne, Australia. And he being the guest of honor of today's session, I request him to kindly say a few words. Please welcome, with a big round of applause, Dr. Abhijit Date from RMIT, Melbourne, Australia.
Thank you. Thank you very much to MIT, to Sri Rahul Karad, and all the teachers who are present here. The topic which I have been given to present is about Indo-Australia Vision for 2030. And that's too far in the future, definitely. But first of all, what we need to look at is what is globalization. What I believe globalization, in simple words, is being connected. Connected 24/7, 365 days. Everyone knows everything is connected these days. Now, keeping that in mind, having the knowledge is not enough anymore. Having skills is not enough anymore. Traditionally, people were considered educated when they finished undergraduate degree or a master's, they have knowledge, and they would do the routine work. These days, routine work is nothing. It's well below average. And routine work is getting replaced day in, day out by machines. Everyone would have already realized how machines are taking over everything. And that's the future. We have to accept that. Now, so what else do we need? If you have knowledge, if you have skills, what is missing in this particular link? Innovation, that's what is missing. In Australia, where I come from, what we try to tell students is knowledge, yes, it's very important. Having skills is very important. But if you're not creative, if you can't make connection between knowledge and skills and the future needs of human being and make some product out of it, make something creative out of it, it's useless. As an employer, if I wanted to hire someone, I would not employ anyone who just has knowledge or skills. What I would look for is someone who is creative, someone who is very hungry. The mind is very hungry. Is always striving to connect all these dots together. So knowledge, skills, and so on. So saying that, what I would like to do is give you some background of Australia. If you want to be globalized, if Indian universities want to be globalized, what we need to know is we need to know the economics or the structure of any other nation. So Australian economy is highly developed, like US and many other economies in Europe. Australian economy has a GDP of around 1.7 trillion. It's a small as compared to India, but is the second richest economy if you look at the GDP per adult, just after Switzerland. So it's one of the richest economies per adult GDP. If you keep that in mind and look at the exports of Australia, the major export of Australia is ore, mining. And within the mining, the major two exports are iron ore and coal. And there's a lot of exports to India in that sense as well. But then the fourth highest export of Australia is education. It's about 7% of the total exports. It's very large exports in terms of, and it has got a very big footprint. So why can't India start exporting education? This is a question to you all to think about after this nice teacher World Congress. Now, to give you an idea of how many international students we get, RMIT, where I come from, Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology University, it's a very young university. It's less than 50 years old, and in QS ranking, which is the QS World Ranking, the young under 50 years old university is ranked 18. And it's gone very fast, it's grown very fast to very high ranks. In the last 10 to 15 years, it's gone from 150 to about 18. So what's the main reason behind that? The main reason behind that is innovation, really. I'll give you some examples of that. But before that, I will give you an idea of how many students we have got. RMIT has got about 60,000 students, and out of 60,000 students, 27,000 students are international students. So that's about 45 to 46% of our students are international. Out of which I would say about 10 to 15% would come from India. I don't have the exact numbers, but there will be a large number of students coming from India to Australia. And there's a big chunk of students coming from Middle East and Southeast Asia to Australia for education, which Southeast Asia and Middle East is closer to India than Australia. So this is another thing what you should think about. Why can't you attract those students to India? And how can we attract them? Now, what we have got student and staff collaboration, exchange with many universities. At present, RMIT has student exchange and staff exchange program with ICT, which is the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology in Hyderabad, which is one of the central institutes in India. We also have exchange program with University of Pune. There were a couple of postgraduate students, PhD students who visited RMIT and stayed there for a month or so. The funding comes from different ways. Now, there are some joint degree programs, not with Indian universities at present, with Hong Kong University in Hong Kong, University in Singapore, University in China and Germany. We have got many joint programs. The only joint program which we have very recently started is a PhD program with ICT in Hyderabad, where that joint program, a PhD student gets enrolled in RMIT and would spend half of the duration in India and half of the duration in RMIT in Melbourne. And the student will get scholarship. There is an application procedure, and that can be easily found on RMIT website. Now, there are short-term sabbatical opportunities as well with RMIT and with many other universities, top universities in Australia. And as few other speakers said before, you just need to contact appropriate department, and then you start communicating. I can be a very good contact to start with. I'm more than happy to communicate with engineering faculty. Now, if you look at the Australian industry dynamics, Australian industry is mainly dominated by mining and then followed by education or service sector. It's almost 61% of the total GDP is controlled by these two sectors. And service sectors includes education, includes design, includes hospitality, and so on. But the biggest problem in Australia at present is the wages are highest in the world. Australian wages are one of the highest wages in the world. Higher than UK, higher than New Zealand, higher than France, higher than US, higher than Germany. Top countries. And that's why manufacturing is getting outsourced. There's a lot of manufacturing moving out from Australia. There have been some which have been moved to India. But the design part is moving back to Australia because highly paid jobs are design jobs. So keep that in mind. How can Indian and Australian universities can collaborate together? So design can be outsourced to Australia, manufacturing to India, and so on. As mentioned by Professor Gore, it's very important to have multicultural environment. And as mentioned by Professor Banda, it's very important to have interdisciplinary connections. So what we do in RMIT, the point which I had left earlier of how we have moved from below 100 status to within top 20 of young universities which are less than 50 years old. We encourage a lot of interdisciplinary projects, and the main medium for that is the final year projects. So each and every degree, no matter which field you're from, you would have final year projects. And that is the best opportunity for students to start collaborating and interconnecting with each other. And that gives them an opportunity to show their creativity and innovation. So the key points to take from my speech, I would say, is knowledge and skills are important, but innovation is most important for future and for globalization. And how can that innovation or innovative minds be developed? By having multidisciplinary projects, multidisciplinary, giving opportunities, and so on. And I will end my speech with these words. I thank again MIT and Sri Rahul Karad for giving me this opportunity and for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Abhijit Date, our guest of honor today. We are now going to have a short film on Professor Dr. Makrand Hastak. Technical team.
Dr. Makrand Hastak is a professor and head of the Division of Construction Engineering and Management, as also a professor of civil engineering at Purdue University. He has been involved with the construction industry for the past 3 decades. He has conducted research, taught and assisted the industry in the areas of construction engineering and management, including process improvement, disaster risk reduction, infrastructure management, and project management decision-making. Dr. Hastak is a professional engineer and a certified cost professional. He obtained a BE degree from Nagpur University before heading to the University of Cincinnati to pursue his MS in civil engineering. He went on to complete his PhD in civil engineering from Purdue University in 1994. He has authored over 200 publications that relate to process improvement, project controls, capital rehabilitation planning, strategic planning, and decision-making based on his work. He also serves on the Education Board of the Association for Advancement of Cost Engineering. We are honored to welcome Dr. Makrand Hastak.
Professor Dr. Makrand Hastak, Head Construction Engineering, Management and Civil Engineering, Purdue University, USA.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that kind introduction. Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais and my fellow educators. First of all, good afternoon. and thank you for inviting me here today to share my thoughts on globalization of Indian higher education. I hope my thoughts will inspire you and perhaps help in drawing this roadmap. As was introduced, I'm a product of the Indian higher education system. But after working for a few years in the Indian construction industry, I realized that I needed to learn more. And as many of my other colleagues and many of my friends, I decided to go overseas to continue my higher education. After finishing my PhD in civil engineering at Purdue University, I moved around the country and worked at many top universities in the US before coming back to the US before coming back to Purdue about 17 years ago. And for the last 10 years, I've had the honor of leading one of the best construction engineering and management programs in the country and perhaps around the world. So my 30 years in the industry and academia has given me a global perspective, some of which I would like to share with you today. So in my humble opinion, I think two things are important for globalization of Indian higher education. The first being that we should learn from the world and adopt some of the best practices that we find are suitable for the Indian higher education system. And the second, which I think is equally important, is that we should find ways to attract the world to learn from the Indian higher education system as well. As was pointed out by many speakers this morning, that India has much to offer, but we need to explore what that is and perhaps showcase that so that we are able to attract students from all over the world that would want to come to India and continue their higher education. So in terms of to learn from the world, my first point, I think we need to be willing to change and to adopt best practices that add value to our existing system. This would require, of course, a very critical self-assessment and perhaps structural as well as pedagogical changes to bring the Indian higher education system at par with the best of the world. Some of the structural changes that I believe would add value include, one, that we should require a tenure system for all our faculty that is based on research, teaching, and service. Now you see, academics of Indian origin work very hard in the US institutions and have excelled in all fields as educators, researchers, and administrators. Now they have worked hard in part because they want to succeed in their environment and satisfy the tenure requirements. The tenure, as you might know, is based on their contribution to research, teaching, as well as service to the industry. Now, yes, these individuals are talented. However, I think the motherlode of this talent is right here in India, sitting right in front of me. Imagine that if a similar environment is created in India, where our young academics are encouraged to use their creative talents and intellect to create new boundaries in knowledge, the value proposition of the Indian higher education system will excel in no time. However, this cannot be done if the right infrastructure is not available. We should have funding agencies to support research. That includes public as well as private sources. Research requires funding sources from not only the government, but also from public and private agencies, where we can explore public-private partnership and how we can move the Indian industry further from a research point of view. Now, I know that some of that structure exists, but I wonder, with no incentive, how much of those resources are actually being utilized to generate new knowledge? I believe that we should engage the industry in the learning process through internships and active participation. Engaging the potential employers in the education systems add tremendous value for the students and the industry. Now, in my program at Purdue, experiential learning is the basis of the program. We require our students to undertake 3 paid 12-week internships where we place them with about different companies around the country for their internship every summer. Now, you can imagine that by the time they graduate, they already have 5, 6, 7 offers because the companies have seen them, have understand what they have to offer, and the richness that they bring back to the classroom is very challenging. As professors, we are challenged because now the student has been exposed to the industry and they have much more better questions to ask and much more depth to explore as they try to understand the subject matter that is to be presented. So in my opinion, experiential learning is the key to engaging these young minds to explore further. We should encourage faculty to obtain PhDs. We should collaborate with institutions all over the world to make that a possibility. I can assure you that at Purdue, if we were to explore schemes such as that, we would be very happy to engage institutions where faculty would want to come and finish their PhDs or continue their further education. I think to improve the system to global standards, it is important that we encourage young academics to pursue these terminal degrees in their respective professions. We should establish collaborations with international institutions to help these individuals attain their objectives. Another point I would like to stress is that we should consider offering salary and benefits that would encourage more individuals to consider academia as a profession. I was very happy to hear Rahul Kararji mention earlier this morning that that is one of the emphasis that he has also placed at this institution. Now, you all would agree with me that to train as an academic requires long years of research and learning. So it is important to increase the value proposition of the academic profession and offer it commensurate salary and the rightful honor that it deserves. Now, in addition to structural changes, I believe that we also need to look at pedagogical changes that we should evaluate and consider. We should consider how subject matter is imparted in our colleges. Do we still believe in rote memorization? Or are we talking about meaningful learning and active learning? As you might know, rote learning is basically your memory, whereas meaningful learning or active learning is when you have engaged with the content, perhaps applied it to different scenarios, case studies, and so on. You're engaging the young minds to explore what is the meaning of the subject matter that we are trying to impart, rather than simply regurgitating what they have memorized in a rote memorization format. We should also encourage our students to be global citizens. I think somebody earlier also mentioned that we should encourage our students to be global citizens. We should put together a system whereby students have a way of exploring studies overseas, perhaps just a summer, perhaps just one of the semesters that they can spend overseas. I can assure you that that would open their eyes to much broader avenues that when they bring back to this country would do a lot of benefit for everybody. We should encourage global faculty engagement through invitation and webinars. Now, the schemes like Gyan and Vajra, I think these are very useful tools started by the government to encourage some of the academics from overseas to come and spend some time here in the country and offer courses, perhaps 1 week or 2 weeks of duration. So I think that's a good start. We should encourage global collaboration and research and teaching. So if we are encouraging all our young academics to pursue their PhDs overseas, that will form that relationship with whatever institution they work with, and that is only going to grow as they come back and contribute to the academic institutions here, and that relationship continues to grow. So we should encourage some of that as well. As I mentioned before, experiential learning is, to me, a key in educating these young minds. Internships, public-private partnership in education are the way to go in encouraging some of these minds. Now let me put a proposition. What if all of your colleges, each batch in your college, were to adopt a village? If you engage your students in exploring what could be improved in that village, you can imagine that with time passing by and these young minds with their aspirations and their desire to do something important for the country, we can fix many of the problems that we see in those villages which often get neglected. but that's the education process. It's an experiential learning process where the students learn, the educators are able to engage their ideas and thoughts to these students, they're able to do something good, and everybody is a winner in that process. We should explore what new areas of study can be offered that support the national need. For instance, I look around and I see that there's major emphasis on infrastructure building here in the country. But when I look around, I don't see there are many, many programs in construction, engineering, and management. I can count them on my fingers. So that is an area of study that I believe if we are able to train individuals to be experts in construction, engineering, and management, there would be a lot of infrastructure issues that we have in this country might get properly facilitated. That's just one of the areas that comes to mind. Now, in addition to learning from the world, I mentioned that we should attract the world to learn from the higher education system in India. And I think to do that, we need to identify the value that we want to propose to a prospective student. Now, why should an international student come to India rather than anywhere else in the world for their higher education? What is the value proposition? Is it research that is value-adding? But as we discussed earlier, that requires research-active faculty, that requires active funding sources for supporting these research. Many of you know that students, when they go overseas, they're looking for funding. And same would happen if students were to come to India for their higher education. They would be looking for funding and research opportunities to grow their perspective. Now, that also requires a need and desire for the faculty to pursue research. Or is it the learning environment? What value proposition does it offer? What cultural exposure can we offer to these students? And as was pointed out by Dalai Lamaji this morning, that India has much to offer in terms of cultural richness, the historical value in the education system, that could perhaps be that value-adding proposition that would attract students from overseas to come and pursue their higher education here in India. What level of diversity do we have in our colleges? Can we improve that so that when an international student comes to this country, they feel that they are welcome, that they are here to gain and learn from the system that they are investing in? Talking about value proposition, is it the pedagogical approach to higher education that sets us apart? Perhaps value derived from traditional Indian education system, or perhaps the pedagogical innovations that were discussed early in the morning by many of the speakers, perhaps that is the value-adding proposition. What new areas of study can be offered? And what would be attractive for an international student? Can we offer perhaps interdisciplinary studies? Then is it even feasible within the existing university systems? Are there non-conventional areas of study that students can come to India and perhaps find it more exciting rather than exploring other avenues in other countries? What are subjects that are unique to India that would attract these students? Perhaps the peace curriculum that was being discussed earlier is one of those avenues. Now, I believe that if we desire to create a roadmap for globalization of higher education in India, we must consider the 2 points that I just raised. One, being that we need to learn from the world and adopt some of the best practices. And second, to attract the world to learn from the Indian higher education system, that is the value proposition. So with that, I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Makarand Hastak, our guest of honor. Thank you for your valuable thoughts. We now have a film on Dr. Daryl Butt.
Professor Daryl Butt is currently serving as the Dean of the College of Mines and Earth Sciences at the University of Utah. His research work has focused on materials processing and performance in extreme environments, carbon sequestration, and nuclear non-proliferation policy. He is also a fellow and member of the American Ceramic Society and is a member of the Materials Research Society. Prior to joining the University of Utah, He was with the Boise State for 11 years, serving as a distinguished professor of material science and engineering and as an associate director of the Center for Advanced Energy Studies from 2007 to 2016. Professor Butt received his PhD in material science from Pennsylvania State University in 1991. He has held various academic, research, and leadership positions with Ceramatic Incorporation, AP Green Industries, the University of Florida, and Los Alamos National Laboratory. Professor Darrell Butt has a remarkable record of achievements as a scientist, as an educator, a mentor, and team builder. We are honored to welcome Professor Darrell Butt.
Our guest of honor, Dr. Darrell Butt, Dean, College of Mines and Earth Sciences, the University of Utah, USA.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, thank you. First of all, let me just thank all of you for being teachers. I think it's the most important profession on earth. And as a teacher, I just have to say I'm a little bit concerned about all of you that are sitting in the back. There are some seats up front in case you want to come up. You get a better grade that way. So I'm from Utah, and I think if you were to draw a line from this point directly through the center of the earth, it would come out very close to my house. And so I traveled about half the way around the world to be here, and it's a great pleasure. I'm going to say a few words about diversity in higher education. It's something I'm very passionate about, something I believe in. And I also thought it would be a really appropriate presentation to give in Pune for a variety of reasons, not just because this is a world peace organization, but also, as many of you may know, this is where the first women's school in India was established by Savitribai Phule, whose image is right behind me, I believe, on the wall. And so diversity is something that's not only important to me, but also to the community of India and this university. My college is part of a large university. We're a small college at a university with about close to 40,000 students, and we are a college of the earth. I have about 50 faculty, tenure-track faculty, and about another 50 research faculty in my college, and we do research in 65 different countries right now. My faculty are doing research on every continent and in every ocean, and so an appreciation for diversity is really important, an understanding of how to interact with other cultures and how to leverage diversity is very important to my college. As a consequence, we have a value statement, and so there should be a PowerPoint behind me that says college values at the top. I'll just read this. We have a vision statement that says, I won't read the whole thing. It says, the college values and strives to be a campus leader in safety, continuous assessment, diversity and inclusivity, collaboration and collegiality. So we have in our strategic plan a very deliberate intent to appreciate diversity and to teach diversity and to leverage diversity. And I'll just say that to have diversity is not enough. To be diverse is not enough. You have to also understand the importance of inclusivity and how to do that properly. And so the next slide, we're a few slides behind. Maybe you could get to the next slide. I decided to experiment and use some slides. So there's at the top of this next slide, it should say millennia. One more. Next. There we go. Okay. So one of the problems that we have is that we are human beings, and that is a problem when it comes to diversity. And the reason is that our biases and our instincts to filter out information evolved over millennia, and we are biased for good reason. Our biases and our suspicion of others comes naturally to us as a protective mechanism. And that's something that we have to overcome. And so I'm going to introduce a new word. Maybe you've used it before, but the term transdisciplinarity. I don't mean interdisciplinarity, I don't mean multidisciplinarity. What I mean is transdisciplinarity. And by transdisciplinarity, what I mean is we completely break down and ignore the silos of academics. Those silos tend to paralyze us, they tend to trap us into our own disciplines, and it makes us rather ignorant of other disciplines. And so I teach classes that are transdisciplinary. I try to get my faculty to teach classes that are transdisciplinary. So I thought what I'd do is just talk about an example, because that's the easiest way to illustrate something. So I actually taught a course once on the color purple. So the entire course, believe it or not, was about the color purple. It sounds like you could probably teach about an hour's worth of material, but it turns out there's a lot to it. The science of purple, the psychology of purple, the meaning of purple in history, how you make purple, where it comes from. All of these things are very deep and very complicated subjects, as it turns out. I have this little illustration here of a butterfly, and it's kind of a nice illustration also of bias. Butterflies, believe it or not, see very differently than us. We see color in the range from about 700 nanometers to about 400 nanometers. That's the wavelength of light in the visible spectrum for humans. Butterflies see light between about the color yellow and somewhere into the ultraviolet regime. So a butterfly that is pure white to us, if you were to take it, for example, into a closet and shine a black light on it, it would have a very exotic pattern on it. In other words, what looks very boring and mundane to us, that is a white butterfly, looks very exotic and exciting to another butterfly. So butterflies see the world very, very differently than we do. For example, this little photo I have in the image of a flower. We may see a flower as being yellow, but a butterfly may see a flower as having a pattern or something to it, which sends a message to it. So as educators and as a scientist, what I do is I shine light on things so I can see things differently. And there's different ways to shine light on things. You can shine light on things, for example, with electrons or photons or X-rays and learn about a material. But you can also shine light on things by leveraging diversity and leveraging the viewpoints of other humans and taking advantage of their perspective. That's another way to shine light on things. So here's the way that I do this in the classroom. So what's really important in order to leverage diversity is to set up a game that gets everybody involved. And so one way I do this is by teaching classes on reverse engineering. And coming from a different discipline, you might use a different term than that. You might call it pathology or dissection or something else. I don't know. But reverse engineering is a term that I would use because I'm an engineer. And by reverse engineering, what I mean is the process of discovery through the analysis of structure, of function, of purpose, of operation, of provenience, of provenance. In other words, where something came from, how it was handed off or how it was made. And so that's the process of reverse engineering. So another part of the course is the following concept, and that is that proof of something, you can fill in the blank, proof of a mechanism, proof of a scientific concept, proof of a hypothesis, proof of provenience, is less like a mathematical proof than it is like a proof in a court of law. And what that means is don't be satisfied with one single piece of evidence. You need many pieces of information, and that means to use all the resources around you and all the people around you in order to solve a problem. So here's an example. So this is a painting, and we're a few slides behind. I apologize. Move forward a slide. Again, move forward. Next. 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 There we go. Okay. So this is a painting, and if I were to hand you this painting and ask you to tell me something about it, everyone in this room would approach it from a different perspective. If I said to you, I want to know how this painting was made, in other words, I want to know all the materials, I want to know the chemistry, I want to know something about the substrate that it was painted on, now it becomes a very complex problem. Some of you might want to know, for example, who painted it or where it was painted or what the style was. And some of you might recognize this as being a painting probably from the 1800s. It was probably painted by an artist from the Hudson River School, just because of the way it's got the light glowing. But you would be wrong, actually, because I'm actually the person that painted this. And thank you, I heard applause over there. Is that applause? Yeah, no, you don't have to applaud, I'm kidding. So, but the point is that I know how this painting was made. So I have this information. So I know all the materials that went into that because I made the paints myself. I made the canvas myself. I painted it in 12 layers. So I know a lot of information about this. I know how complicated it is. But if I handed this to you or to a class and I said, reverse engineer this, where would you start? How would you get this going? Who would be the leaders in the class? There's all kinds of interesting questions that would be asked. An artist would ask one question, a material scientist or a chemist would ask another. And so by bringing people together, you can gain greater understanding of things and leverage that diversity. Now, my paintings are pretty boring, so in my class, the way I do it is I get real problems for students to solve. And as I said, you got to set up the game. And this is just one example of many. I was fortunate enough to be able to get a particle of a mummy portrait, and these are fairly complicated things. So these mummy portraits, please move forward a couple of slides. Again. There we go. Okay, so this is a mummy, and there's a portrait on this, and there's about 950 of these portraits known in the world. So they're fairly precious, fairly expensive, so to speak, or valuable. And we were only able to get a tiny little particle from one of these. What was really important about this particle, though, was that it was purple. And in the times of ancient Egypt, this was around 200 AD, the color purple was something that was very precious. It was the color of royalty. And next slide. And this is a picture of the particle sort of on the lower middle left of the picture, superimposed on the picture of a human hair. So the particle was about 50 microns in diameter. So this class that I taught basically was focused on a dust particle. So we spent an entire, actually 3 semesters studying this particle and trying to reverse engineer the methods that the ancient Egyptians used to paint the color purple. Next slide. So you can kind of imagine the many questions that would be asked and all the challenges that you would have. So when I taught this class, it was a research class, and I had students from psychology, sociology, material science, philosophy, art history, visual arts, chemistry, anthropology, public policy, and art conservation, all working together on this problem together. Now, when I say transdisciplinary, what I mean is that I didn't leverage their skills or their disciplines. I let them all break down the barriers of academics and do whatever they wanted to do. So I had artists that were working in my laboratory. I had chemists that were going to the library to study the volumes of Pliny the Elder to try to understand how ancient Egyptians would have made these types of pigments. And it was an amazing experience, a very, very organic type of an experience. And what's also important about leveraging diversity is to, as a teacher, to not be in control of the students, to not be in control of the class, to let it go where it needs to go, because you have to appreciate their diversity and leverage their diversity, and if you try to control the environment, you lose all of that. And so it's extremely important to flip the classroom. I assume many of you have heard that term before, and it's not an easy thing for a teacher to do. It means giving up control of your classroom and letting the students take it over. So your job is to set up the game and then give them control of the process. Next slide. I won't go into the details of this, but this is just showing some of the things that they did. It turned out that they discovered, or I believe they proved, that this purple pigment was actually synthetic, and it was probably made from madder root, but madder root makes a red pigment, and they were able to prove that that the Egyptians probably chemically shifted the color from red to purple by adding a certain salt to it, maybe unintentionally. And so in the year 200, Egyptians were actually synthesizing the color purple. We actually didn't think the color purple had been synthesized until the 1800s, but the Egyptians were doing this almost 2,000 years ago. Next slide. So to end, the point of this is that our responsibility in academics is to help our students understand the importance of diversity. There are different ways to do this. One approach, and this is just one approach, is to use transdisciplinary experiences to bring students together to solve real problems. And I believe this leads to better decision making, improved objectivity, which leads to better science, better engineering. It leads to greater emotional intelligence, greater innovation, higher social IQ, important leadership skills. But again, diversity in and of itself doesn't work if you also don't have inclusivity. So if you have a classroom that is full of male students and female students, they don't interact, that is diversity, but it's not inclusivity. And so you have to take that diversity and you have to turn it into something different by encouraging inclusivity. And transdisciplinary experiences are one way of doing that. And this is just a next slide. Next slide. And this is just a few ideas for transdisciplinary experiences for students. The example I gave was one of art and science mixed together. You can also imagine things like driverless cars, energy transitioning, isotopes in medicine, mining engineering and history, paleoecology and entertainment arts. So you can imagine lots and lots of different ways to bring students together to solve real-life problems in a transdisciplinary environment. And then the final slide, next slide, is just an image. On the left is an image created by Da Vinci, and then on the right is an image created basically by combining microscope images of a human hair and the particle at about a 500 micron resolution. And so is it art, is it science? But the whole idea of blending art and science is something we've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I think it's something that is very important education right now. So thank you. I'll end there.
Thank you, Dr. Daryl Butt. Thank you for sharing with us with your valuable ideas. We now have a film on Dr. Raghunath K. Shevgaonkar.
Professor Raghunath Shevgaonkar is an acclaimed teacher of electromagnetics and is currently a professor with the Departments of Electrical Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay. He is the former director of the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and has also served as a Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University. He was a named Fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering in 2012 for leadership in electrical engineering education in India. Professor Shevgaonkar is also a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, Indian National Academy of Science, and the Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, India. He received his Bachelor's of Engineering degree from Jivaji University, Gwalior, India, his Master's of Technology degree from IIT Kanpur, and his doctorate from IIT Bombay, all in electrical engineering. Prior to joining IIT Bombay, Shevgaonkar worked for the Indian Institute of Astrophysics and the University of Maryland, College Park. Being an advocate of distance learning, he established the Center for Distance Engineering Education Program at IIT Bombay. We are honored to welcome Professor Raghunath Shevgaonkar.
Dr. Raghunath K. Shevgaonkar, Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Bombay, former Director, IIT Delhi, and former Vice Chancellor, University of Pune.
Mr. Rahul Karad, all distinguished speakers on this Teachers' Congress, all distinguished colleagues from different colleges and other universities. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Rahul Karad for giving me this opportunity to come and talk to you about Indian education. There was also a bonus when I came to Pune, because since I was in Pune, I know a lot more people in Pune. There are many colleagues who are from University of Pune and many other institutions. It was also an opportunity to meet them, and say hello to them. Well, the topic, which is globalization of Indian higher education. So let me first pose a few questions. And let us see, can we find the answers to these questions, and then we decide whether we are a global education or we are not a global education. So first of all, ask a question. How do we decide whether the education system is a global system or it is not a global system? So there must be some benchmarks, some yardsticks by which if you are measured, and if you stand on that yardstick, yes, you are a global education system. If you don't fail on that scale, you are not a global education system. So what are the yard scales normally used for defining the quality of education or the education system? You may define the university patterns, like the number of degrees, the number of years which are required for getting a degree. The inter-university transfers, whether people can go from one university to another university, not within India, but also abroad, could be one measure. Other measure could be the ranking, that can you participate in the same ranking with which the global universities are participating? And are some of your universities are standing on that ranking? That could be another measure. Or could be a global employability. Can the graduates from our universities can find global employment? Are we aligning with the developed countries or the universities which are there in the developed countries? That's what global employment probably would mean. Or are we addressing the global issues? Are we creating a global citizens? Is that a measure to decide whether you are a global education system? Or do we really look at it fresh and decide whether we are a global education system? So coming to the first few mundane ways we decide whether education system is universal, let's come to the ranking, for example. Now Indian universities are also participating into the ranking procedures, and many of the Indian universities and institutions are figuring out pretty high into the universal ranking. Now some of the parameters, if you really look at for the ranking, those parameters could be academic peer review, could be the faculty to the student ratio, could be citation per faculty, could be employer reputation of the institution, could be the international students' presence on the campus, could be international staff present on the campus. These are the parameters which are used for ranking. Do we figure out, or all our institutions are really standing on these numbers? You will see not all, but some of them are really figuring out. But you will also see that there are many of our institutions, they figure much higher than many of the well-reputed institutions, even in the Western world. But then those institutions which don't figure very high in the reputation, we never ask them that are they having global education or not. Then why are we asking this question here, that is our Indian education system is a global system or not? So the first question one can ask is, what is the origin of our Indian education system? So if you really see, forget about Takshila and Nalanda, which were some 2,000 years back. Our education system in India is a very, very recent system. When India got independence in 1947, there were only about 30 universities in this country. What happened from 2000 to 1947? Not too many universities actually came in this country. However, from 1947 to today, we have universities, about 870 plus universities are there in India today. That means the education system essentially has expanded in this country over the last 70 years, 60, 70 years. What is the origin? What is the formula or the base came for establishing this university system in India? Primarily, it came from the British system. Of course, there are some institutions which came like IITs. They decided to follow the pattern which came from American universities. So now we see today we are having a system which is more Britain prevalent system, which is normally seen in universities, or you are having IIT system where the American system is essentially followed. Now, if the seed for establishing the university in India came from these countries, from the UK and the university in the United States, why those universities which were there in these countries, they are called global, and why our universities are not called global? So that's a question one can ask there. So you're going to start asking question now that what did we gain, or what is the similarity between our system and these systems, and where did we lack in creating the thing which we wanted to create? So some of the things, for example, if you really look at the structure of our degree programs, yes, there is a similarity. You are having the similar kind of 3-year, 4-year program which are there in our university. The similar programs are there in the Western universities also. If you look at the international curriculum, and if you look at the curriculum of our universities on paper, you will hardly find any difference between the two curricula. The same courses are taught here, right? The same books are followed. The usage of the learning material also, most of the books which you get, they are either by the international publishers. There are not too many books which come from the Indian publishers. So again, you are following the same resources which are there for the academics in our universities also. The incorporation of the e-material over last 1 decade has really made now the international resources available to anybody in this country also. So when I look at from this point of view, you will see there is not much distinction between what is happening in those universities and what is happening in the Indian university. However, there are many of the things which happen there either by the culture or by definition or by whatever the law or the rules, and many of the things have not happened in our universities. So I want to be little critical here. Don't worry about that. But if you understand what are we lacking, at least we can put those things back into the system and can make the system which is a globally competitive system. So very first thing which comes to our mind is when I go to our Indian education system, the very first thing is that all these years we have concentrated on creating volume into education system. We created so many colleges, so many institutions, so many universities. But just that is the need of the day, because even today our gross enrollment ratio is just about 24%. Whereas many other countries, the gross enrollment ratio almost goes to 50%. That means even today we require a lot more institutions. The volume has to go up. But when the volume is going up, who is taking care of the quality of education? And unfortunately, you will see that this aspect that the education has to be quality conscious, that aspect to some extent is undermined. It is not really played an important role in deciding our education system. So first thing which we have to really put in place is, and which is very, very important, that our education should become quality conscious. The second point which is important for education system is the education system should become autonomous. They should be answerable to only truth. They should not be answerable to many other factors which decide what you should say. Academics should always speak what the truth is. So not only quality, but the autonomy of the education institution in the education system is extremely important. That's what we should really do. Then there are many other parameters which I'll just go very quickly one by one, what is missing in our system. And you will see that the most crucial aspect of our education system is the proper evaluation mechanism. We do not have an evaluation mechanism which really tests the knowledge in the subject. It really gives you a certificate that yes, you have got some bare minimum marks, and on the basis you can claim that you have gone through this subject. So the examination system is something which is very vulnerable. Second thing, nurturing personal traits. Each individual is very different. Why we should really put every individual into the same jacket and ask him to perform exactly the same way? Can we emphasize the strength of individuals and create a curriculum or something which will enhance his abilities? Unfortunately, that system is still not in place in our country. The critical thinking, knowledge, logical reasoning, logical skills, integrity, ethics, these are the aspects which do not become the integral part of our education system even today. Maybe in the Western world, many of the things are automatically there. They're the part of the culture. But here, it will take some time to become part of the culture. So when we are saying, I'm going to say that you know the subject, how did we say that you know the subject? Just by marks? But many times you will see that the marks and the knowledge doesn't have much great correlation also. So have we created a mechanism by which we can really create a system which will give you this analytical skills and knowledge and critical thinking. We have to put that in practice. The transparency into functioning. The education system, when you look at, can we claim to ourselves that yes, our system is a transparent system, right? Unfortunately, we will not be able to do that. Then you are having the teaching learning quality. Even if you go by the same yardstick, which is the accreditation process, you will see that there are many parameters which are given much more weightage than the teaching learning process. Teaching learning process only is still a small subset into that. The emphasis is still on having a building and the campus and the playgrounds and the hostels and so on. But can we ask fundamentally, is your teaching learning process really a solid process? I think we really have to put that into practice. Disconnect between the education and the society. Today, you ask any student that whatever he is learning into the system in the university, and he will immediately say, I don't know, why am I learning this? There's a standard answer you will see from. That means somewhere we are failing to really give the perspective that whatever you are learning in the university has some connection with the society. There is some need of this knowledge which you can really take to the society and make the betterment of the society. So that's what something is missing here. Then you are having a proper selection process. Even in the colleges, when people select, I say very jokingly, but it has really a fact. Our all selection processes are elimination processes. They are not selection processes. We take competitive examination for selecting a student and try to find an excuse to say that you are not fit. Right? You got 1 mark less in the examination, so you are out of the list. He might be having many more good things which we can buy on the basis of which he could have performed much better. But we have no mechanism to really do and try to take into account. So our process of selection is not a selection process. Our selection process is basically an elimination process. And that too happens in IITs also. The IJE advanced examination system is a system which finds really an excuse to simply say that that day you could not perform well. And that's why you are not in the system. So we have to make some correction on that. Now, many of the issues which I am pointing out are related to the volume with which we are dealing with. Maybe we could have done that if the number was very small. But that's the number which is given to us. So we have to find our own innovative ways to really find out how are you going to cope up with the problem. Then you are having the flexibility. Now the credit-based system is coming in the university. So person can decide what subjects he wants to study, and the credit-based system is giving some flexibility, but still we have to move in that direction in some way. Then the integration of research and higher education. Over the years, what we have seen is we have segregated the higher education system from research. The research is just confined to the university campuses, whereas the education has gone into the colleges. This is the affiliation system which was there. It came originally from the British system. But even those universities have now got away with that system. Because the research should become an integral part of the students. The students should come and see what is going on in the top level research so that they become part of it. They get excited, right? So one thing which should be corrective thing we should do is, can we bring the research back into the academic institution, right? So that is something which is extremely desirable. Then you are having multidisciplinary culture. And this culture can come very well if we involve the industry into our academic programs. Because the industry never looks at a problem which is this one, partition problem. When they look at a product, the product may require mechanical engineering, it may require civil engineering, it may require law, it may require societal problems, it may require many things. So can our education system get integrated with the industry, and then together they can decide what has to be taken to the students so that whatever knowledge they are getting from the system can be taken to the society and they can become multidisciplinary researchers. The group activities. The group activity concept practically doesn't exist in our universities. You take that to the students, you take that to the faculty. I have seen students also, I have seen faculties also. We all prefer to work individuals. The group concept doesn't come into that. And many of the innovative ideas actually come from the group concept. Because you may have some complementary strength from one to another. You may have some idea, but other person may have some different idea, and together can make the idea much better. But that concept is very weak, and we have to build on that. Next thing, what we never teach our students is how to handle failures. Anybody who fails, you put a stigma on that for the rest of your life. The failure actually comes once, but after that he may be successful. But that failure, if you keep on putting a stigma on that for the rest of his life, the person will always hesitate to fail. Or the other word, what it means is, he will never try to do something which is cutting edge because there is always a possibility of failure. So if you are really talking about a cutting edge kind of research or activity, there is a good chance, 50% chance, that the idea will fail. In fact, many of the innovative people, if you talk to them, they say, we decide the quality of research is only by your failures. Right? How many things you failed, that tells you that how many new things you tried. Apparently, we have no guidance given to our students, right? That if the failure comes to you, how do you really handle it? And it is not a stigma. You can always ride on that, right? And you can create something new coming from that failure. The proper assessment and the educational requirement. Our national policies have to decide what is the national requirement in education. At the moment, what is happening is the things are just coming, they are riding on the waves. The IT wave came, there are a lot many IT institutions got opened. Then now IT wave is gone, those institutions don't know what to do, so the institutions are getting closed. There are IT engineers which are lying there, who are getting now the salaries which are less than even attendance in the offices. That means there was no proper assessment done. We want today the engineers which are in the infrastructure, but there is an acute shortage of infrastructure engineers because the whole manpower was diverted to only IT engineering. So have we done a good assessment in deciding what the education system should be? So we have to do that. Awareness, communication, and professional ethics, and hands-on activities, that should become part of that. But for doing all this, the responsibility lies on whom? The responsibility lies on teachers. The teachers are the ones who are supposed to inculcate all these things and all these ethos into the students. But so the first thing when you are going to a teaching profession, you should be really proud of that I am a teacher. Right? Don't think that I became a teacher because I could not find anything else. Right? It so happened many times that you try all possible things and then nothing worked. Well, you can always find some college and get into that college and become a teacher there. If that is the kind of attitude, if you go and try to create an education system, certainly this education system cannot be a global system. So a teacher have a moral responsibility, right, in saying that, no, whatever job we are doing with great satisfaction, right, and great enthusiasm, and we are really proud of that. If we do that, right, then only we can do that. But for doing this, it is not only teachers, but the people who actually mentor these teachers. The responsibility lies with them also. Have we created a good reward system for the teachers? And unfortunately, this reward system is again practically non-existent, right, in our system there. So whether somebody does spectacularly well or somebody doesn't do anything, most of the time, the path of progress is more or less similar to both of them into the system there. That means we have to even focus on mentoring teachers, nurturing teachers, creating a good reward system for the teachers, and make the whole profession so attractive that when they come here, they can work wholeheartedly and they can create really a new generation which can really take the things forward there. So the question one can ask is, that suppose we did all that. Right? These things which are mentioned here, people take it for granted that all these things are already there into the Western universities. Maybe it is not true in all the universities. Maybe some good universities, all the things are there. But by and large, if you really see, these things which are mentioned here are there into the Western universities, right, or the developed countries' universities. So though we are having the same yardstick for measurement, right, since these things are already there in place in those universities, even if their ranking was low, nobody says that you are not having global education system. But you can be said that you are not having education, the global education system because these parameters you don't really stand on. So the first thing which we have to do is we have to do this on that, and then if we do that, then maybe we will match with the Western education system. But my question will be still further. The Western education system, which actually has been there for the last 200-300 years, right? Today, if we ask you to design the system, has the Western education system done something to the society which has become a sustainable society? And today, if you really go to the UN has given resolution for, they have defined some sustainable goals. There are some 16, 17 goals they have defined here. And many things which I mentioned here, nowhere figure out into that UN goals. The UN goals are very, very different. That means when we are talking about a global education, and if you want to make somebody a global citizen, these parameters which we talked about, which essentially come from the developmental point of view, which come from the employability point of view, which come from the commercial point of view, which come from the product development industrial point of view, they still do not figure into the UN resolution. What that means is the time has come that it is not the global university education system when we talk about, it is not simply aligning our pattern with the Western world. That's not the objective. The objective is ask a hard question today. That if I wanted to make an education system which makes the world sustainable, what that education system should be. So what that means is now today the time has come when we should envision the future. That ask the question how the world will look like 100 years down the line. Today we are in 21st century beginning. When we go to the 22nd century beginning, how the world will look like. And are we having an education system today in place which makes everybody ready for that 22nd century and make it sustainable? So the first thing one can see is that today when you are looking at the world here, we know that the world is very, very integrated world today, and two technologies predominantly played the role in this. One is, of course, the communication and information technology. And second one is the high-speed transportation technology. People can move very freely here and there, and because of that, you can start seeing the world, and the world simply got integrated there. But now if you really see that these two technologies which are there, right, and the living of the individuals which are there, the one world is a very, very rapidly changing world, the cyber world, right, by which we are integrated. The second world is the physical world. It doesn't change very rapidly, right? If you say, what is the population changing, it cannot be 10 times more, tomorrow. But internet technology in 1 year down the line may become tenfold. There is no requirement, there is no restriction on that. That means when I look at this technology like a cyberspace technology or something, these are catastrophic technology. These are non-linear technology. These are exponential technology. And on which I can't do much prediction. Because if I took myself about 10 years back and asked how the internet would look 10 years down the line, I would not have made any prediction what is today. That means this technology certainly is non-predictable. But if somebody had asked me, what is the water resource crunch which is going to be there 10 years down the line, how the population will be there, where the coal will be there, what the energy requirement would be, I would be able to predict that very, very easily. That means today when we are answering this question about future vision, we have to ask this question on two fronts. One is the cyber world, other one is the physical world. So come to the physical world, which is going to sort of be predictable, and we know that we are going to live there in that world, 100 years down the line. So a few numbers just for sort of consumption. So the population of the world is going to be 50% up, right? The energy requirement will be 100% up. The electricity requirement will be 300% up. The natural resources will be 80 to 90% down. The food requirement will be 100% up. The water stress population will be 200% up. So now the question one can ask is, if these are the kinds of constraints on which we are going to enter into the 22nd century, what our education system should be today? Can today's education system take us forward, right, so that we become sustainable in the 22nd century? And you will see that the last 100 years, whatever growth which has taken place here, what education has given us, it was an organic growth. It was a conventional world, something grew, something expanded, natural forces just acted on that. There was no systematically said that, well, that's the direction we should move. So as a result, what has happened is that the resources, capitalization, everything was cornered by few people in the world. If you look at what is happening in Africa, and if you look at what is happening in the United States, there are some people there who don't have square meals a day, and there is a food which is very surplus there, energy which is surplus there. Now these things coexisted in this world because people were not informed from one part of the world to another part of the world. What the information technology has done is, they have made each one aware of not only their own condition, but also the condition of their neighbor. And now the people can start asking questions. Why my neighbor should be in a more privileged position than I am if I belong to the same world community? And if this question is asked, you will see that this natural growth which is going to take place into education is not a sustainable growth. It cannot really happen. So you have to ask a question, can we make what is called, some people call it the great transition? Can we define the path of our education system and call that path as the global education system there? So instead of having continuity of the development or evolution what we are having and the education system, I think the time has come not only for India, but even globally, people have to take a pause and ask, are we moving in the right direction? And you will see that the market-driven education system or the simply industrial aspect into the education system cannot really make you sustainable. You have to have many other factors which should be actually coming into the thing. So today, when we are talking about an education system which is global, actually it should be a path-defining exercise rather than simply saying that my curriculum aligns with the development world. Actually, aligning with the development world does not really do a great job like 100 years down the line. So we have to really come forward and say, well, this is the right thing we should be doing, right, so that we can do it. So how do the world advance? First of all, it has a holistic and not only engineering approach. It is not only business or trade. It is not only development, right? So it's a holistic approach which is there. Engineering is a problem, right, solving, but correct problem needs to be defined. So if you give a problem to engineer, he will always solve the problem. But what problem to be solved? If the atomic energy is given there, you ask him to make a bomb, he will make a bomb. If you ask him to make an energy generator, he will make an energy generator. Who tells him what to do? That doesn't come from engineering and technology. It comes from somewhere else. So you should have a redefining the human needs. That's what has to become an integral part of education system. So the social scientists should become an integral part of engineering development and creation of a happy society. That should be the objective of education today. It is not only the comfort of life. Even with the comfort of life, are you happy? Right? Are you having a happy, satisfactory life? Can you really do that? Can the development with the sustainability and harmony with ecology, or as the IEEE motto says, right? Are we advancing technology for humanity? And if the answer comes no, the technology is not advancing for humanity, that advancement is not really a global advancement in the education system there. So one can ask, that these are the things in which if I ask to design an education system, certainly I cannot bank on what is happening today. I have to add a lot more things into the education system there. So I have to create a new education system. Or should I say that the old education system is the one, some of the aspects should be brought back into the new education system? Should we say Sarve Pi Sukhina Santu, Sarve Santu Niramaya should become the backbone of education system? I think the time has come, we should really do that. There is no point in asking how much millions are earned by somebody. You should ask a question, even after having so many millions here, did he live a satisfactory life? And for that, you have to create a new education system. So you need to define the correct path with new education, which is beyond the information and skill and the employability. There is something much more required in the education system. The good amalgamation of knowledge, skill, value system, sustainability, happiness, right? That should be the one which is inculcated to our graduates. Prevention of cultural, geographical, biological, natural diversity should be nurtured and mentored. Today, we want to make everything homogenized. Why should we make everything homogenized? We all know, at least I'm a communication person, so I know that wherever there is a diversity into the system, that system performs much better than a homogeneous system there. So why we want to make everything homogenized? Why we are saying the person who is a handicraft person is inferior to the person who writes a software program? He has a skill which is far superior skill, right, than writing a software program. One may have more commercial value, one may not have a commercial value, but as far as his aesthetic value is concerned, that value is equally important than what a commercial value would be. Can we give more weightage or equal weightage to these kind of activities? So living in collaboration and cooperation with nature, correcting the path traveled for last 50 years over next 50 years. That's what probably should be the objective of the new global education system. So it is not only this Congress here, but globally, all the teachers, all the people who think that yes, we have followed certain path there, but the time has come that we should look back and ask a question. Would extrapolation of this path would lead to something sustainable or will not lead to sustainability? And if it does, if the answer comes, it is certainly not going to be sustainable. Then these kind of like-minded people should come together. And maybe India, being the most populous country in the world, and most of the activities which are going to happen in this part of the world, probably can define the paradigm of new education system. You can define the needs which are there. You can define the need which Mahatma Gandhi said should be there. Right? There is the natural resources are adequate for everybody's needs, but not for anybody's greed. Can we define this as the focus of our education system? And I think if we do that, in the 22nd century, we will evolve ourselves, not only India, but as a world, as a global citizen, right? Where we can live harmoniously with all our diversities, all our value system, all our ethics, and still the world will be a peaceful world there. Can we work toward that education system in the years to come? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Raghunath K. Shevgalkar. May I now request Shri Prasad Khandekar, Associate Dean, Faculty of Engineering, MIT World Peace University, to say a few words.
Respected Shri Rahul Karad, sir, dignitaries on the dais and fellow teachers, good evening one and all. What a great day today. In the morning, His Holiness Dalai Lama Ji inaugurated the second edition of National Teacher Congress and gave us the message that only education system which can imbibe true human values can bring world peace. He also said that we, the teachers, have the responsibility to bring oneness in 7 billion population, and that can happen only through the education system. This is exactly the main objective of this second edition of National Teacher Congress, how the global educationists can come together on one platform and deliberate and discuss so that we can make this world a better place. We all know that India has the largest, youngest population and is also looked upon as a source of global talent. At the same time, we are witnessing a different change in and around our system, in and around our society. On one side, the major stakeholder of our education system is our student. And he's undergoing a lot of change. This generation is referred as millennial generation by all of us. Their characteristics are different, their traits are different. They are said to be addicted to social media. A 3-year boy cannot tie his shoelace, but can operate a smartphone. These are the students to whom we are teaching now, we as teachers. On the other side, the other major stakeholder is the industry, and it is also undergoing a lot of change, what we are calling as Industry 4.0. And when these two important changes are happening around us, I think this topic of this session, globalization of Indian higher education, becomes more important because we would like to learn from our Western and Eastern counterparts how we can tackle these two important stakeholders, either by globalization or by learning from our own ancient education system. That is what we need to really deliberate. So in the first session of Second National Teacher Congress, we got insights from eminent persons across the globe. Dr. Banders from Europe discuss about the cooperation between European and Indian education systems and how we can integrate the components of education system. Dr. Pereira talked about faculty and student exchange programs and opportunities available for Indian faculty and students to go to US and can avail the Fulbright scholarships. Dr. Abhijit Date from Australia, he talked about various opportunities available for Indo-Austrian collaboration. He emphasized on knowledge, skills, but what he more emphasized was the innovation, how we can apply knowledge and skills to create better products for tomorrow's society. Dr. Makran Hastak requested us to talk about and find out ways to learn from Indian higher education system, public-private partnerships, and research. Dr. Daryl Butt talked about inclusivity and diversity. His talk was more on transdisciplinary educational objectives and systems. And Dr. Shevgaonkar, he positively criticized what is happening in today's Indian education system. What we really need to understand, where are the gaps right now? Shall we blindly follow the Western system, or do we have to do a real-time analysis of what is happening in our system and where do we go from here? So with these visionary inputs and insights, I think as a teacher myself, I have learned a lot, and possibly in my mind, I can create a blueprint how I can take the education system where I am contributing myself and make it really a global one. So with these few remarks on this session of need of globalization for Indian higher education system, I really thank all the speakers who have come all the way from different places across the world and gave me the opportunity to listen to your talks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, with this, we are coming towards the end of session 1, but there are a few more things to go ahead with. And it's time that I propose and I move this particular session towards the most important part of it, and which is the voting on resolution. As you all know, any such big gathering that discusses any important issue needs to be given a topic on which the decision of everyone needs to be understood. And this is the process with which we try to understand the opinion of every one of you. Well, this is how this process is conducted. Generally, at the beginning of every session, we say, please shut down your mobile phones, okay, or don't use your mobile phones. But this is the part of the day when we request you to please use your mobile phone, because that is the tool with which we will come to know about your opinion. So I would like to request you to take your mobile phone in your hand, open the message window of it, and then I would like to begin with the process. If may I please request my technical team to display the resolution on the screen, please. Well, this is the resolution of the session 1. I'm going to read it out for you. The resolution for the session of globalization of Indian higher education. Well, before I read it out, let me share with you that all the dignitaries sitting on the dais are also requested to participate in the voting process. So you're also requested to take your mobile phones in your hand and please participate in this voting process. We, the teachers of Second National Teachers Congress, hereby appeal to the government that in order to bringing Indian universities at par with global premier universities, Human Resource Development Ministry should acknowledge the larger contribution of private universities in shaping the Indian education sector and thereby grant research aid to the professors of private universities to make them evolve as global brands. भारतीय उच्च शिक्षा का वैश्वीकरण। हम द्वितीय नेशनल टीचर्स कांग्रेस में सम्मिलित हुए शिक्षक सरकार से यह निवेदन करते हैं कि भारतीय विश्वविद्यालयों को वैश्विक श्रेष्ठतम विद्यालयों के समकक्ष दर्जा प्राप्त होने हेतु मानव संसाधन विकास मंत्रालय निजी विश्वविद्यालयों को भारतीय शिक्षा क्षेत्र में योगदान स्वीकार करते हुए निजी विश्वविद्यालयों के अध्यापकों को शोध अनुसंधान और उन्हें वैश्विक ब्रांड बनाने हेतु सहयोग निधि उपलब्ध कराएं. And the process of voting on this resolution is, it is written on the right-hand side top corner of the screen. You will see, if you agree and if you support this particular resolution, you're supposed to type NTC space 1 space Y and send it to 9013422222. If you do not agree with this resolution, if you don't stand by with this resolution, you're supposed to type NTC space 1 space N and send it to 9013422222. Your time starts now. You just have 2 minutes time. I request you to go to your SMS window and start typing. If you agree, you're supposed to type NTC space 1 space Y and send it to 901-342-2222. If you don't stand by this resolution and if you want to oppose, then you're supposed to type NTC space 1 space N and send it to 901-342-2222. The globalization of Indian higher education. There are just a minute and few seconds left. You all are requested to go to your message window and quickly finish your voting process. I request all the dignitaries on the dais also to vote. Very, very important resolution, understanding the importance of private universities as important stakeholders of the development story of Indian education system. Just a matter of 47 seconds You all are requested to finish the process as soon as possible. And the moment this countdown timer will go off, we will see the result of all your voting. And if this resolution passes, we will send it across to the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. Just a matter of 20 seconds, my friends. Please finish the process. It's really important that this resolution comes to a conclusion from this particular gathering of Second National Teachers Congress, and Human Resource Development Ministry of Government of India and the state government should know. Okay, here we have the result. The resolution passes with 95.24%. A big round of applause, my friends. Thank you very much for actively participating into the voting process. And now, I would like to request the motivational speaker and famous orator, Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay, to kindly address the gathering. Please put your hands together and welcome with a round of applause, Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay ji.
नमस्कार और शुभ संध्या। इतनी दूर आप बैठे हो, आपसे सबसे विनती करता हूँ कि मैंने जब शुभ संध्या कहा है, जिसका हिंदी में मतलब गुड इवनिंग है, तो आप सबसे विनती करता हूँ कि हाथ ऊपर करके आप सब शुभ संध्या कहें, इकट्ठा हाथ ऊपर करें सब, वहाँ के लोग भी, ताकि यहाँ से मैं देख पाऊँ। यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे। भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने भगवद गीता में ये अर्जुन को विश्वास दिलाया है। भगवान श्री कृष्ण नहीं है, वो महागुरु है। श्री कृष्ण नाम का महाशिक्षक अपने स्टूडेंट को विश्वास दे रहा है। जब ऐसी स्थिति आएगी कि धर्म का ह्रास हो जाएगा और अधर्म राज करना शुरू करेगा, तब मैं हर वक्त अवतीर्ण होके फिर एक बार धर्म की संस्थापना करूंगा। यही बात आर्य चाणक्य ने भी कही कौटिल्य अर्थशास्त्र में। सवाल ये उठता है कि आज सब लोग यहाँ अलग अलग फैकल्टी में सिखाने वाले ज्ञानी लोग इकट्ठा आए हैं। ऐसे अलग अलग फैकल्टी के लोग का इकट्ठा आना एक विश्वरूप दर्शन है। हमारा विषय चल रहा था कि भारतीय शिक्षा पद्धति जो है वो वैश्विक हो सकती है या कैसे करनी है। लेकिन आप सब लोग जो यहाँ मौजूद हो, उपस्थित हो, आपके यहाँ से उपस्थिति से ही ये तय हो चुका है कि अलग अलग वर्टिकल्स में काम करने वाले, सिखाने वाले अलग अलग ज्ञान जब इकट्ठा आता है तो उसका स्वरूप विश्वरूप का ही होता है। और इस बात पे विश्वास रखिएगा आप सब, जो मैं कह रहा हूँ। श्री कृष्ण ने कई बात मैं आपके सामने पेश कर रहा हूँ, और मेरा नाम संजय है, इसलिए विश्वास कीजिएगा। सवाल यह है कि अभ्युत्थानम अधर्मस्य, ये जब बात बनती है तब वो शिक्षा से ही शुरू होती है। भारत बुद्धि में जो एनग्रॉस्ड है, रत है, उस देश से ये बात बन पाएगी जहां तक पूरे विश्व का सवाल है। आध्यात्मिक नेतृत्व तब तक नहीं मिलेगा हिंदुस्तान को जब तक हम शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में अग्रसर नहीं बनते। अभी जो विदेशों में हमारे शिक्षक है जो यहाँ से गए हुए, उस समय का ब्रेन ड्रेन है। ये जो यहाँ से वहाँ गया, और आज भी लोगों के मन में सक्सेस की जो व्याख्या है वो व्याख्या यही है कि मैं हिंदुस्तान में पढ़ूं, और मैं अगर यूएस चला गया तो ही मैं सक्सेसफुल हूँ। जब विश्व की बात करते हैं तो ये प्रवाह उल्टा होना चाहिए। वो वैसा था पहले, नालंदा के समय था, तक्षशिला के समय था। फिर एक बार उसे हम सब लोग इकट्ठा आके वापस अस्तित्व में लाना है कि ये ब्रेन ड्रेन जो अब ऐसे जा रहा है वो वहाँ से यहाँ कैसे आए। और ये जिम्मेदारी बनती है जो यहाँ से गए हुए हैं ब्रेन दिमाग है वहाँ पे, जो अब वहाँ शिक्षक बन चुके हैं, उनका और यहाँ के शिक्षकों का इकट्ठा आना। और ये अनोखा संगम आज राहुल कराड़ जी के माध्यम से इस मंडप में हो रहा है। उनके लिए जोरदार तालियां हो जाएं कि अब ये कोशिश चल रही है कि नेशनल टीचर्स कांग्रेस में जो हिंदुस्तान से बाहर गए हुए शिक्षक हैं, जिनके पास वहाँ की एजुकेशन सिस्टम का अनुभव है और यहाँ का अनुभव जिनके पास है, वो सभी शिक्षक अगर इकट्ठा आ जाएं, इसलिए जो कनेक्ट की बात बनती है, ये मेरे शब्दों के बाद आप सब लोग अलग अलग क्लासरूम में जाके जो कनेक्ट बनता है, वो कनेक्ट इसलिए है कि आजकल के दुनिया में जो ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ चल रही है, उस ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ से जो तोड़-फोड़ चल रही है सब जगह पे, अगर उसको जोड़ना है तो हमें कनेक्ट की ज़रूरत है। और अगर शिक्षक कनेक्ट हो जाएगा एक दूसरे से, किसी भी फैकल्टी में पढ़ाने वाला हो, तो ये बात बनती है और इसी से अवतार बनता है, नहीं तो अवतार नहीं बनेगा। ये दिमाग से चलेगी आपकी बात। जब आज शाम को आप सब इकट्ठा हो गया, आज पहला ही दिन है, 3 दिन तक ये आपके कांग्रेस में आप सहभागी हो रहे हो, तो आपको ये जरूर सोचना होगा कि ये बात दिल से बनती है। और मैं आपसे विनती करूँगा ये कि ये दिल से इकट्ठा आ जाओ और वो दिन देखो कि जहाँ भारत के प्रधानमंत्री ये बात कर रहे हैं कि अमेरिका से यहाँ आने वाले लोगों के वीसा में हम क्या कर सकते हैं। जैसे ट्रम्प ने बात की और बस हड़बड़े गए वहाँ सब, क्या रे ये H1 वीसा का गड़बड़ हो जाएगा तो क्या हो गया। तो आज वापस न्यूज़ आ गई कि नहीं, ऐसे नहीं सोच रहे हैं, चलो वापस सब खुश हो गए। परसों ही मॉर्निंग वॉक के लिए निकला था तो एक दादाजी मिले। मैंने दादाजी से पूछा क्या करता है पोता आपका, तो उन्होंने कहा कुछ नहीं, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर हो गया, गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट है और महात्मा गांधी जी के आह्वान को प्रतिसाद देते हुए यूएस चला गया। तो मैंने पूछा महात्मा गांधी जी का ऐसा कौन सा आह्वान है जिसके लिए आपके पोते ने प्रतिसाद दिया। तो दादाजी कहते हैं छोड़ो भारत। हम समझ नहीं पाए गांधी जी ने किसके लिए छोड़ो भारत कहा था। और आज के शिक्षा पद्धति में ये जो उल्टी गंगा बह रही है उसको वापस एक बार हमें यहाँ इसी धरती पे लाना है, भारत में लाना है, जिसके माध्यम से पूरी दुनिया का नेतृत्व हमारे पास आ जाए। अध्यात्म का तो आ गया, योग दिन शुरू हो गया, वैश्विक योग दिन शुरू हो गया। आपको याद होगा आपके स्कूलों में भी ऐसी पनिशमेंट आपको दी होगी, आपके शिक्षक ने जो ऐसे कान पकड़ के ऐसे कहते हैं। अब यही शिक्षा, यही पनिशमेंट जो है वो शिक्षा बनकर अमेरिका से यहाँ आ रही है, उसको पावर योगा बोलते हैं। और ऐसे करने की वजह से दिमाग सतेज हो जाता है, ऐसे अमेरिकन लोगों का कहना, इसलिए हम मानते हैं। तो ये हर बार जो उल्टी गंगा बह रही है उसको वापस लाने की ताकत आप सब लोगों के पास है और शिक्षक ही ये बात कर सकता है और कोई नहीं कर सकता। नहीं तो मुंबई के एक स्कूल में 3री कक्षा का विद्यार्थी था, शिक्षकों ने ये बात बनाई। जब टीचर ने पूछा क्लासरूम में कि महाराष्ट्र का कैपिटल क्या है, राजधानी क्या है, तो उस बच्चे ने जवाब दिया था इंदिरा गांधी। तब उसके घर में पहले नोट भेजी गई स्कूल से कि इस बेटे को व्यक्ति और शहर में भी फर्क नहीं मालूम। और आज ऐसी स्थिति आई है कि वही बच्चा नेशनल टीचर्स कांग्रेस में सेशन के आखिरी 5 मिनट में आपके साथ संवाद करने के लिए खड़ा है। ये किसकी वजह से हुआ? ये हुआ टीचर्स की वजह से। और इसलिए पहले मुख पे हंसी होनी चाहिए। जब तक शिक्षक कंटेंटेड नहीं दिखाई देगा उसके मुंह पे, वो अगर दिन भर जैसे ही कॉलेज में आता है प्रोफेसर, उसके मुंह पे अगर उसके ज्ञान का अहंकार और कुछ गंभीरता से ही वो चलता रहेगा कंटिन्यूअसली, उसको मैं WT कहता हूँ। आजकल SMS के लिए छोटे छोटे एब्रीविएशंस लगते हैं। WTO का मतलब है वाकड़ तोड़। तो जब ज्ञान आपके पास ज्ञान है तो वो प्रसन्नता भी आपके साथ चाहिए। आज जरूरत है, वाइस चांसलर जी ने बहुत अच्छी तरह अभी बात की, लेकिन सबसे महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि जो मैं पढ़ा हूँ वो ज्ञान तो मेरे चेहरे पे दिखना ही चाहिए, लेकिन उसके साथ में वो ज्ञान के उपलक्ष्य में मैं प्रसन्न हूँ, खुश हूँ और मेरी जिंदगी बहुत अच्छी चल रही है, ये तो मेरे मुख पे दिखाई देना चाहिए। वो अगर नहीं दिखाई दिया तो भी प्रॉब्लम है। और इसलिए ये जो पूरी तैयारी यहाँ पे इसलिए हुई है कि आप सब लोग इकट्ठा आए, शिक्षक इकट्ठा आना चाहिए। तो आर्य चाणक्य भी खुश हो जाएगा कि चलो उस समय नहीं हुआ, उसके बाद में नहीं हुआ, आज सब शिक्षक इकट्ठा आ रहे हैं। और इसलिए आ रहे हैं कि इस तरह से पूरे दुनिया में जो शांति की बात है, कंटेंटेड तृप्ति की बात है, उसके लिए शिक्षक इकट्ठा आ रहा है। और इसलिए आपसे विनती करता हूँ, हाथ जोड़ के विनती करता हूँ कि आओ चलो। और ये भारत में ही हो सकता है और कहीं नहीं हो सकता। ये भारत में ही हो रहा है और कहीं नहीं होगा, आज तक नहीं हुआ। पहली बार ये हो रहा है कि पूरे शिक्षकों को इकट्ठा लाया जा रहा है। अलग अलग फैकल्टी के शिक्षक इकट्ठा के एक दूसरे से बात करेंगे। एक तो वो जो नेट बनेगा, वो अवतार बनेगा, उस अवतार से ये सब बात बनेगी, नहीं तो नहीं बनेगी। और हर वक्त ये इतिहास ने बार बार कहा है कि जब भी ऐसी स्थिति आई है, हर वक्त हमने देखा है कि चाणक्य विद्यार्थी को तैयार करता है, चंद्रगुप्त को तैयार करता है, सांदीपनि श्री कृष्ण को तैयार करते हैं, विश्वामित्र श्री राम को तैयार करते हैं। ये सब विद्यार्थी को तैयार करने के लिए भगवान ने जो रूप लिया वो हर वक्त इस तरह से रूप लिया है। तो आप लोग उसी रूप में यहाँ पे पधारे हो। और इसलिए ये पूरी दुनिया का अच्छा होना अगले 25 साल में, 50 साल में तो सबसे बात बनेगी। शिक्षक अगर प्रसन्न है तो बात बनती है, नहीं तो नहीं बनती। और इसलिए विनती है कि चलो हंसकर बात करेंगे, खुलकर बात करेंगे। कल्चर बदल चुका है, हमें पता है। काले रंग का वो जो ब्लैक बोर्ड था, काला रंग था, वो सफेद हो गया है। जिससे उस बोर्ड पे लिखा जाता था वो सफेद था, वो अब काला हो गया है। दुनिया उल्टी चल रही है बराबर। और ये जो चेंज है पूरा उल्टा चेंज हो रहा है। आजकल की माँ और पिताजी जब बच्चे को डांटते हैं तो वो कहते हैं चिल, कूल, लॉल, जो भाषा उनको समझ में नहीं आती। एजुकेशन में इस तरह से कई बातें हो रही है और इसको रोकना चाहिए। 3 तरह के वर्टिकल्स में एजुकेशन चल रहा है। पहला, घर में माँ और पिताजी के माध्यम से क्या शिक्षा दी जा रही है। दूसरा, स्कूल और कॉलेजेस में जाने के बाद क्या शिक्षा पा रहा है। और तीसरा, सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से उसको क्या सिखाया जा रहा है। कल्चर क्या सिखा रहा है। अगर पूरा कल्चर बॉलीवुड पे डिपेंड करता है तो भी प्रॉब्लम है। 1947 टू AK-47 ऐसे अगर पॉलिटिकल जर्नी है तो दिल एक मंदिर से दिल तो पागल है, ऐसी सांस्कृतिक जर्नी है। और इसको रोकने की ताकत सिर्फ शिक्षकों के पास है और कुछ नहीं तो एजुकेशन सिस्टम में, महाविद्यालयीन एजुकेशन सिस्टम, एक बात स्कूलों में भी देखिए आप, जो शिवगांवकर साहब कह रहे थे वही कह रहे कि इस मिट्टी से नाता जोड़ने वाली एजुकेशन सिस्टम वो तैयार नहीं होती। वो हम लोग तैयार करेंगे, ऐसे इकट्ठा आके हम लोग तैयार करेंगे। नहीं तो गांव में अनपढ़ दादाजी है, अनपढ़ पिताजी है और बच्चा अंग्रेजी स्कूल में गया सीखने के लिए, और जैसे ही घर आया, जब पूछा दादाजी ने कि क्या पढ़ा, तो उसने कहा पोएम। तो दादाजी ने कहा पोएम का मतलब क्या है। तो इमीडिएटली बच्चा लॉर्ड मैकॉले के रूप में अपने दादाजी की तरफ देखता है, कहता है स्टूपिड इंडियन। उसको पता नहीं है पोएम का मतलब क्या है। और फिर कहता है कौन सी पोएम पढ़ी आपने, तो कहता है रेन रेन गो अवे। फिर दादाजी कहते हैं कल से जाएगा स्कूल में तो टांग तोड़ दूंगा मैं। यहाँ हमें बारिश चाहिए और तुम्हें स्कूल में पढ़ाया जा रहा है रेन रेन गो अवे। यहाँ बारिश नहीं हुई इसलिए खुदकुशी चल रही है और आपको सिखाया जा रहा है रेन रेन गो अवे। ये सोल और सॉइल का नाता जोड़ने के लिए आप लोग इकट्ठा आए हैं और वही काम राहुल सर कर रहे हैं। तीसरी बार हो रहा है कि शिक्षकों को इकट्ठा लाके इस मिट्टी की जो ताकत है, उस मिट्टी के ताकत से अगर हम इकट्ठा आ जाएंगे सब शिक्षक, तो बात बनेगी। मुझे सिग्नल मिल चुका है रोकने का सिग्नल मिल चुका है, लेकिन इनके पहले ही वो मुझे मिलता है, क्योंकि 3 साल तक मैं मैजिशियन रहा और मैजिशियन को ट्रेनिंग रहता है कि ऑडियंस की तरफ देख के सिग्नल लेना, रुकना कब है। मैं रुक जाता हूँ यहाँ पे, लेकिन एक बात जरूर ध्यान रखिए कि ये कल्चर का जो चेंज है, उस कल्चर को रोकने की ताकत या उसको एडजस्ट करने की ताकत आप लोगों में है। आपका एडजस्ट का स्पेलिंग क्या है? ADJUST, बराबर है? आपका एडजस्ट का स्पेलिंग। मैं आपसे विनती करता हूं कि आज से उस स्पेलिंग में और एक D ऐड कर दो, और वो है ADDJUST। ऐड जस्ट करो, जो न्याय है उसको ऐड करना है, इसलिए आप इकट्ठा आए हो। ये कोई संस्था की तैयारी है, संस्था के मन में आया कि चलो ऐसे सब लोगों को इकट्ठा है, ऐसी बात नहीं है। यहाँ पे दिल से काम चल रहा है कि आप लोग इकट्ठा आ जाओ। अब आप प्रतिसाद देना उसको, आप रिएक्ट मत करो, आप प्रतिसाद दे। तो इस कांग्रेस के लिए आप प्रतिसाद दीजिएगा, रिस्पॉन्ड करो। आप रिएक्शन निगेटिव रहती है, रिएक्शन में दिमाग नहीं रहता, रिस्पॉन्स में दिमाग रहता है, रिस्पॉन्स में दिमाग रहता है। थोड़ा आपके चेहरे पे हंसी लाता हूँ, रुक जाता हूँ। रिएक्शन सीरियस रहती है। हॉस्पिटल में भी डॉक्टर कहते हैं कि पेशेंट इज रिस्पॉन्डिंग, अच्छा हो रहा है। पेशेंट को रिएक्शन आ गई तो कहता है ICU में ले चलो। सो रिएक्शन में ब्रेन दिमाग नहीं रहता, इसलिए प्रतिसाद दे दो। इस पूरी राहुल सर की कल्पना को आप प्रतिसाद दीजिएगा, ऐसे विनती करता हूँ। मेरे प्रोग्राम में औरतें अलग बैठी थी और जेंट्स लोग अलग बैठे थे, और प्रोग्राम जैसे शुरू हुआ एक कॉकरोच आ गया, उड़ने वाला कॉकरोच। वो किसी ऑडियंस में लेडीज विंग में जाके बैठा, जाके वो जोर से चिल्लाई। महाराष्ट्रियन ऑडियंस था, वो जोर से औरत चिल्लाई, झूठ तो उड़ल करके। बेचारी को कहना था उड़ तो जुड़ल, तो कितनी डर गई थी। वो झूठ तो उड़ल, वहाँ से कॉकरोच निकला और एक आदमी बैठा था, उसके कंधे पे जाके बैठा। आदमी ने क्या किया, कॉकरोच की तरफ देखा, उसको मुट्ठी में पकड़ा और फेंक दिया। आदमी ने किया, वो रिस्पॉन्ड किया। औरत ने जो किया वो रिएक्ट किया। रिएक्ट किया वैसे आहार, निद्रा और भय, ये जो अपने स्पाइनल कॉर्ड से निकलने वाली रिएक्शन है, वो भय वहाँ पे पैदा हो गया। आप सबसे विनती है, स्टार्ट रिस्पॉन्डिंग, कीप स्माइलिंग। स्माइल इज द शॉर्टेस्ट डिस्टेंस बिटवीन टू पीपल। जैसे क्लासरूम में जाओगे, एक तरफ देखे हंसो, ये मेरे जैसा ही लगता है, ही हैज़ गॉट अ स्टैंडर्डाइज ब्रेन एज अ प्रोफेसर। एक दूसरे के साथ दोस्ती बनाओ, मित्रता बनाओ। त्र का मतलब फेंक देना, अंग्रेजी में थ्रो। क्या थ्रो करना है? मिथ थ्रो। आज शाम को मिथ थ्रो करो सबके साथ में, और फिर देखो ये कांग्रेस क्या इस देश में धमाल करती है। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay ji, for your motivational speech. I would request Shri Rahul Karat to kindly felicitate and thank Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay for his presence here today. Thank you very much, sir, for coming all the way here. Well, my friends, it is generally observed, as I was telling you in the morning, that we come for such kind of gatherings, we come for conferences. Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay is being felicitated. A round of applause for Dr. Sanjay Upadhyay to thank him for his presence here today. Thank you. National Teachers Congress is not that kind of platform where we just come, we listen to the speakers and we part away. The most important and integral part of National Teachers Congress is teacher-to-teacher connect. What exactly is teacher-to-teacher connect? What exactly we are going to do in that? And what exactly is going to be the outcome of that? These three questions must be addressed now. And for that, I would request the Dean of Faculty of Management Undergraduate Programs, Professor Dr. Ravi Kumar Chitnis ji, along with Professor Dr. Anjali Sane, to kindly come forward on stage and give us those important details that are required for teacher-to-teacher connect.
Good evening to all of you. It is indeed a pleasure to share with you that Dr. Banders, who is sitting on the dais, started in Bharatiya Chhatra Sansad, one of the mammoth conclave of student leaders, Students to Students Connect program. Further, it was extended to Teacher Connect. And the modus operandi goes like this, that in this teacher-to-teacher connect, all the teachers after this particular session in next 5 to 10 minutes, they assemble in MIT College of Engineering, the details of which will be shared by Dr. Anjali Sane. And in each classroom, you will have 5 groups of 10 teachers. So one group is of 10 faculty members, and you will have a round table conference in that particular classroom, and such 5 groups will sit. Each group will be given a particular subject, or they can choose the particular subject out of 8 subjects which will be narrated now. It is interesting to know that this would be the first time in your life you will be coming together with some faculty and discussing important issues related to that subject who is not part of your subject. You might have attended some meetings in Board of Studies or Academic Council, but typically if you are a medicine faculty or engineering faculty or art, science, commerce or engineering faculty, you always interact today in your career primarily about the subject expert. You seldomly might have interacted with electrical engineering faculty if you are in civil engineering. So we are going beyond the faculty, and we are allowing all of you to come together, irrespective of your faculty, that is subject, irrespective of your state. We experienced last year that some people from Jammu and Kashmir talking to, in real sense, faculty from Kanyakumari, and faculty from Rajasthan talking to, faculty from Orissa or Assam. And then if you ask the modus operandi, it goes like this. First, you discuss the importance of topic, then identify the challenges involved in that particular topic, then suggest possible solutions. Further, select the best solution, which is according to you, and then making action plan for implementation of the solution. If you recollect, Dr. Banders was talking about less lectures and more of application of this knowledge for problem solving. So we are moving into that direction, and this would be one of the finest experience in your life for next 2 hours. So do not go anywhere, immediately join. We are happy to share with you that tea, coffee, or snacks, or water bottles, everything will be provided in that. Our experience of last National Teachers goes like this, that faculty shared at the end that these 2 days, in the evening we had 2 hours teacher-to-teacher connect. Maybe in the next National Teachers Congress, you do it in the daytime. And that was one of the wonderful experience. That is what is shared. And if you are looking at the screen, you will see the last year's teacher-to-teacher connect photographs. We have a video also of that particular thing. Now I request my colleague, Dr. Anjali Sane, to share the further information about topic, the location, the classroom, and the duration. Over to Dr. Anjali, please.
Thank you, Dr. Chitnis. Respected dignitaries on the dais, off the dais. Teacher Connect program, in fact, is one of the most interesting takeaways that we can, as teachers, take from the National Teachers Congress. It provides an interdisciplinary approach, which is rarely seen in any conference. Accordingly, the topics which have been chosen are related to the field of higher education, and I request my technical team to please display the topics on the screen. The 8 topics that have been selected for the National Teachers Congress are academic and research collaborations, student-centered learning, stimulating entrepreneurship through education, creating young leaders, imparting creativity in education, technology in education, teaching methodology, active learning methods, and industry academic collaborations. Now, the method is that every teacher can select a topic of his or her choice, and you can go to the classrooms which have been mentioned on the screen in the MIT College of Engineering building, which is hardly 2 minutes from here. The topic of your choice, please go to the room that has been selected. The methodology adopted is focus group discussion, wherein the teachers will assemble in groups of 10 and sit together and discuss over a period of 2 days, that is today and tomorrow, about the possible challenges that we face in this particular topic. What are the possible solutions that we as teachers can come up with? And then finally, at the end of the 2 days, discuss what can you as a teacher do in the immediate short run? What is the action plan that you have selected for yourself? It is very easy for us to blame the management, to blame the government, to blame the parents, or to blame the policies for any small or large problem. Let us try to come together in an interdisciplinary approach, identify the challenges that are faced in this particular topic, and come up with possible solutions as teachers which can be forwarded, which can be exchanged amongst us. And let's hope to take our economy, our teaching fraternity in the best possible direction. Looking forward to meeting all of you for the Teacher Connect program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chitnis, Dr. Sane. Thank you very much for your briefings about Teacher to Teacher Connect program. Well, my friends, this is just a beginning. We have just began our journey for the second National Teachers Congress, and there is a lot more to come. Tomorrow, we are going to have the second session of second National Teachers Congress, 9 o'clock sharp in the morning. And that particular session is all about value-based universal education, the foundation for world peace. Extremely important topic that would be discussed tomorrow in session 2 at 9 o'clock sharp in the morning. We are going to begin this session 9 o'clock sharp. So I request you to be seated by at least by 8:40, which will be followed by session 3, and which is quality in higher education, the truth and reconciliation, which would be followed by session 4, the use of technology in education, impact and impediments. And all these sessions, we are going to have very, very important and eminent speakers. We are going to have Dr. Dhan Singh Rawat. We are going to have Professor Aniruddha Deshpande. We are going to have Maulana Sayyid Kalbe Rushed Rizvi. There is a galaxy of speakers that we are going to have tomorrow as well in the second day of second National Teachers Congress. Of course, there is a lot more to learn. There is a lot more to understand. But let us take a break from this particular venue as of today. So I would like to request each one of you to rise in your seat for the national anthem as we conclude the day proceedings in this particular venue.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड